I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh. This meeting is being conducted live with a physical quorum present. The material for today's meeting is available online at www.coconutcreek.gov, and the meeting is being broadcast live. We will now begin the discussion item regarding parks and recreation policies and operational procedures. Deputy City Manager Staudenmeyer will open the discussion.
Thank you and good evening. And again, we're pleased to finally be able to have this workshop discussion on parks and recreation operational procedures. Unfortunately, we've had to reschedule a couple of times, but what's important is that we're here now and we're ready to go. So before I turn it over to our Parks and Recreation Director and Assistant Director, I want to remind the Commission that we've had a consultant, Jack Carty, working on this issue for several months. Jack has done an exceptional job evaluating the department's operational procedures, field utilization, even our special events programming. And his findings have been summarized in two very extensive documents, both of which are in draft form and still being reviewed by staff. And while both are very important work products, these reports are not the focus of tonight's discussion. While there is significant data analysis and benchmarking data analysis within these reports that certainly support the focus of this evening's discussion, there was a concern that we might get bogged down in the detail and not allow ourselves time to have the focused discussion I think we all agree we need to have this evening. I also think the main takeaway from Jack's findings is that while the city, the Parks and Recreation Department, may not be doing anything wrong or incorrectly, there are certain things, operational procedures, policies, if you will, where there is an opportunity to have things done perhaps differently. And that's the focus of tonight's discussion. What could and what should we be doing differently? And again, that's the focus for tonight, or at least we hope is the focus for tonight. So Wayne and Danielle have done a great job paring down a brief PowerPoint presentation that I think gets us right to the heart of the discussion. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mr. Tobey.
Thank you, Scott. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Welcome to the Parks and Recreation Policies and Operation Procedures Workshop. My name is Wayne Tobey, Parks and Recreation Director, and I'm pleased to present the research and findings from the past 6 months along with options for the years ahead. The workshop provides an opportunity to align our goals and strategies as we move forward into 2026. Your input is vital as we discuss the policies that will guide our operations and continue to enhance recreation opportunities for our community. Today we have a comprehensive agenda that will cover several key areas. We'll start with a background and project overview, followed by a review of our youth sports and ball field operations. It's important to highlight both the opportunities and challenges we face, and we will seek your feedback to build consensus on the next steps. Your insights will be invaluable as we shape our future initiatives. Here's a snapshot of our department's performance. We offer 50 recreation and sports programs, engaging around 2,700 participants each year. Our customer satisfaction ratings stands impressively at 98%, which reflect our commitment to quality. Additionally, we have more than 230 volunteer coaches contributing 13,000 hours annually, and we host over 20 special events that attract more than 43,000 attendees. This data highlights our impact on the community. Our facilities play a crucial role in our operations. We manage 18 city parks, including 11 baseball, softball fields, and 4 football, soccer fields. The condition of our ball fields is rated as very good, which is a testament to our maintenance efforts. Looking ahead, we have planned an investment of $21 million over the next 5 years to enhance these facilities further, ensuring that they meet the needs of our community. The city retained a consultant, Jack Cardes of JKS Strategies, to review parks and recreation policies and practices with a focus on quality control through benchmarking and best practices. The purpose of this review was to provide actionable recommendations related to ball field use and access. The intent of this study was to provide the city with a clear assessment of park operations and current sports programming, as well as guidance on how future needs and demands can best be identified and addressed. This effort was not intended to replace a formal master planning or recreation program planning process, which would involve comprehensive community engagement, including statistically valid surveys, focus groups, broad stakeholder participation, and a series of community workshops to identify what residents need, want, and would support through participation. The consultant has completed his analysis. While a detailed review of the documents will not be conducted this evening, the recommendations they contain will help inform focused discussion taking place tonight. Several key issues were identified that warrant attention. These include uneven access and pricing policies, which can create barriers for some youth sports organizations and community members. Additionally, the limited use of formal agreements with youth sports groups hinder coordination and cohesion. Additionally, the limited use of formal agreements with youth sports groups I'm sorry, I read that twice. Notably, unused field capacity during peak hours at certain park indicates an opportunity for more efficient resource allocation.
Wayne, could you speak directly into the microphone?
Stakeholder input. During the information gathering process, Mr. Cardes met individually with several stakeholders to gather input on parks and recreation policies and practices. Stakeholder feedback is a critical component of our planning efforts, and several key themes emerged from these discussions. Our recurrent topic was the importance of equitable pricing and access to fields for residents. Concerns were raised regarding the inconsistent treatment of third-party youth sports nonprofit organizations, particularly related to field scheduling and the waiving of rental fees. Later in this presentation, options will be outlined for how the city may proceed with these third-party organizations moving forward. Stakeholders also expressed interest in potential for offering a higher level of competition beyond the current recreation level youth sports programs. This presentation includes suggestions for introducing an elevated competitive option in the future, should the city choose to pursue it. Staffing and field management were also identified as areas for review. Staffing levels may need to be evaluated if they directly affect the quality of youth sports programming and the effective management of athletic fields. Currently, park rangers rove throughout the city's 18 parks. While staffing levels are adequate for general oversight, there are not enough rangers to be stationed at each field location. A ranger's cell phone number is provided for concerns related to field permits or field conditions, and rangers typically respond on-site within 5 to 15 minutes, depending on the location and staffing levels. In emergency situations, including signs of aggression or property theft, residents are encouraged to contact the police department rather than a park ranger. Finally, marketing and communications were discussed. The city's Community Relations Department manages and promotes all city programs and activities throughout the year. Recently, the city launched a dedicated Parks and Recreation social media page, which is expected to increase awareness of programs and activities among residents. Continuing with stakeholder input, opportunities were identified to enhance adult fitness and overall health through the addition of outdoor fitness equipment. Each year, the city aims to enhance at least one of its 18 parks, and outdoor adult fitness amenities are routinely recommended during the park renovation design process. Most recently, adult exercise equipment was added as part of the Donaldson and Sunshine Park renovations, which are expected to open here in the future. We also included some at Lakewood and Cocoa Point Park as well. Stakeholders are also expressed the need to review existing sports program policies to ensure alignment with current community needs. This presentation reflects the city's commitment to improving and modernizing parks and recreation policies and practices moving forward with guidance from the advisory board and commission. Regarding standard operating procedures related to ball fields, the Parks and Recreation Department proposed an updated draft athletics policy in April 2025. Due to the anticipated hiring of a consultant, review of the policy was placed on hold pending the outcome of the consultation process. Following tonight's discussion, the athletic policy may be revised and brought forward for approval in the near future. Regarding ball field access, gates are currently unlocked with field entry located near the dugouts. Fields are only locked for safety-related reasons, such as pesticide application, field maintenance, or when a permanent event requires marked lined fields for scheduled games. Ball field lights are activated by park rangers at 6 p.m., while court lights operate automatically. During routine rounds, if no activity is observed, rangers will turn off the lights. When a field is permitted, lights remain on until the conclusion of the permitted use or park closure at 10 p.m., and Winston Park closes earlier at 9 p.m. The Community Center and Recreation Complex operate on Saturdays from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., with programming offered throughout the day. This schedule is currently supported by a single staff shift. Any extension of operating hours would require additional staffing and would result in an increase to the Parks and Recreation salary budget. Excuse me. RecTrack. RecTrack is used to maintain accurate household records, ensuring proper residency verification, and apply appropriate non-resident resident fees at the time of initial registration. While the registration process is generally straightforward, it does require participants to remember their login credentials. Currently, 22 local municipalities utilize RecTrack, compared to the 8 that use Civic Plus. WebTrack is the public-facing online portal that allows residents to register for programs and activities via computer or mobile device. The WebTrack mobile app is nearing the compatible to support push notifications, a feature not currently available in other recreation software systems. The one-time cost to implement this WebTrack mobile app is $9,640 with an annual maintenance fee of $7,140. The current annual RecTrack fee is approximately $10,000. If WebTrack mobile app is added, a total annual maintenance cost would be approximately $17,140. In addition, the city now accepts Apple Pay and Google Pay for registrations at the Community Center, Recreation Complex, Creek Fit, and Sable Pines Park. Lastly, the topic of nonprofit organizations utilizing indoor spaces without a written agreement will be discussed in more detail later in this presentation. Field utilization is
Wait, I don't mean to interrupt. I need to understand what we're doing here. Is this, he's just going to be talking for a half hour and then we're going to be talking, or are we doing this in piecemeal?
So Wayne's going to just give the overview, and then we're going to get to some very specific consensus questions. So it's probably only about 4 or 5 more minutes, and then he'll go to asking questions, and you all need to deliberate.
Because there's like
on
a lot
each
to
one.
unpack and things that he's, so we're going back through everything. Is that my understanding?
We're going back, just allowing him, it's
Okay.
about 2 more slides, and
Got
then
it.
we'll get into the
I didn't mean to
individual
interrupt.
items.
Didn't mess up your flow. Okay.
Field utilization is a critical component of Parks and Recreation operations. Currently, peak usage occurs on weekends from 5 to 10 p.m. and throughout the weekend. During these peak periods, approximately 57% of the available field use are permitted through RecTrack. These figures does not include field designation daily for resident open play or the scheduled rest periods required to maintain the city's high-quality field conditions. Some parks, including Hosford, Lakeside, and Lions Creek, have additional capacity for increased use. Staff will continue to actively promote these locations to regular renters. In addition, during peak hour timeframes, the department strives to provide open play access on at least one field per day to ensure availability for community members who do not hold field permits. In addition, during peak hour timeframes, the department strives to provide open play access on at least one field per day to ensure availability for community members who do not hold permits. And that's throughout the 18 part.
I just need to clarify, again, I don't want to be an interrupting guy, but I'm going to be an interrupting guy.
You're good.
You say strives to provide. We're providing or we're striving to provide?
Well, our goal is to have an.
But are we doing that now or no?
I would say 98% of the time we do that, Enrique.
That's because when you hear, that's why I said repeat it. Strives is like, hey, we're not doing it, but we want to do it, as opposed to we're doing
We're
it.
doing it currently.
Got it. Thank you.
Welcome. Our current user groups utilize city fields include a variety of organizations. These groups fall into several categories: Creek sports programs, including soccer and flag football; partner youth sports organizations, including baseball and softball; standard renters, both recurrent and occasional; and, as previously discussed, open play opportunities for residents. The current operating model primarily features Creek Sports as the main provider of soccer and flag football, while 2 partner youth sports organizations receive free field access to provide baseball and softball programs for residents. Each sport is offered for 1 season per year, not to exceed 4 months. All groups utilizing city fields are treated as standard renters. The city encourages youth to participate in multiple sports throughout the year to promote diversity, support well-rounded development. Each sport provides unique skills and experiences that help shape our youth into strong, confident adults. Historically, the city's 4 outdoor youth sports programs were operated by parent-run organizations. Creek Sport, soccer, and flag football were established in 2017 and 2021, respectively, after the parent-run organizations were no longer able to meet their operational obligations, at which point city staff assumed full responsibility for administering these programs. Baseball and softball have continued to operate as parent-run organizations.
And let me interrupt Wayne and just say that now what we're doing is going to. The 3 options that he's going to go over.
I'm going to give you.
I want to log a standing objection. And my standing objection is I believe this entire study, and it's not to his fault or anyone's fault, is totally flawed because it only deals with outdoor sports. Nothing of this, and I addressed it with a consultant when I had a one-on-one, addresses anything inside a gymnasium or with our indoor spaces. So I have a total general issue, the fact that we're talking about only things outside, not things inside. And it's not to anyone's fault in this room. I said it to Jack. It wasn't in his scope of work. And he goes, I could do it for more money, but I just have a general issue that We got all these great color-coded charts. None of it addresses the true need in our gymnasium spaces and our indoor spaces.
You mean sports?
Sports, specifically. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball is not even addressed on here. So it's standing objection on it in general. Happy to go through it. But if we're not addressing those globally, we're not really doing anything.
And I hear your comments, and I think what we're trying to focus on tonight is the limited scope of the ball fields.
Well, when will the rest be addressed?
I can't answer that right now. We did not get a proposal from Jack to do any additional services. We felt that we needed to get at least this piece wrapped up, and then we'll move on to the next.
Okay.
Hold on, can I say something? I think globally, when we start talking about making policy, that's going to be interwrapped in this. So any decision we're making right now is kind of up in the air until we come back to that. Because if we're going to say we're going to have some operator take care of our outdoor leagues, that has to be addressed with the indoor leagues too. So it has to, we're going to be circling back on this. So I don't know if we want to continue down this path and talk about in sections, or are we going to, the next meeting, it's going to be all wrapped up? What's the goal?
Well, very candidly, we had some very sharp criticism of the soccer programs and the need to address those soccer programs. That was originally the focus. We've been attempting to get at least our arms around whether we should be providing an option that has a private provider providing for the recreational level soccer programs and potentially private providers for the more competitive level, and whether we need to level the playing field between soccer, softball, and baseball, which are simple questions, but they have not been addressed in the past.
I can't even, I have to respond to that because there's, your numbers are flawed on this because Jack even admitted on my call with him, we're including 2,700 kids that we're servicing in a year. That's actually not true. We're servicing 2,700 kids in sports. It doesn't count for a kid playing 3 different sports, and that's counted 3 times for 1 kid. Flawed data subsect. But if Commissioner Brody, totally correct. I don't know how we can be expected, and I don't mean to seem frustrated. It just it bothers me because I'm an indoor sports guy. My kids play indoor sports. I have sharp criticisms about indoor sports. But if we're not addressing this, how could we create a policy today that doesn't address everything globally? Because Creek Sports only runs the indoor sport. We don't have independent providers that have ever even got a market share based on how we run our gym space.
So might I suggest that you provide your feedback related to the indoor sports, allow us to get the feedback on the outdoor sports. We'll have to wrap all of this up and bring it together in a formal policy. We're just trying to move one step forward.
I get it, and I'm participating, but I think it was important to log, hate to be legal about it, but like a standing objection, because if we're not dealing with it together, how are we dealing with any of it? So. And that's not anyone in Parks and Rec's fault that's here tonight.
No.
It's very important.
We have to start somewhere. We have to start somewhere. Okay. Thank you.
Field rental fees for baseball and softball were waived because these organizations provided services that the city does not directly offer. In this capacity, they function as an extension of Creek Sports programming. As community needs and participation trends continue to evolve, it may be necessary to evaluate whether these programs should continue to be operated by city staff or youth sports organizations. Given these considerations, the following slides will discuss potential options for future operation of the city's outdoor youth sports programs. Option 1. Option 1 proposes continuing the current Creek Sports operating model. Under this approach, the city would continue to operate the foundational recreational level programs for soccer and flag football while providing free field access to youth sports organizations offering recreational level baseball and softball. Each sport would continue to be offered for 1 full season per year, not to exceed 4 months. This option allows for incremental growth aligned with the available staffing levels and minimizes potential risks associated with the changes to policies and fee structures. However, it is not without challenges. Parks and Recreation staff continue to face difficulties in attracting and retaining qualified and, importantly, high-qualified coaches for Creek Sports. In today's environment, parents are often less able or willing to volunteer their time to coach. As a result, registration for some programs may need to be limited or capped because of the number of volunteer coaches available. The recently implemented Coaches Incentive Program is intended to encourage parent participation and help address this challenge. Option 2 proposes dissolving the 2 Creek sports programs as well as the 2 existing partnerships with the current youth sports organizations. Under this option, a formal request for proposal process would be used to select 4 recreation-level youth sports organizations to manage soccer, flag football, baseball, and softball moving forward. Each sport would be offered for 1 full season per year, not to exceed 4 months. This approach would standardize agreements, fees, and accountability while allowing the city to maintain general oversight and policy authority. However, this model carries a higher level of transitional risk for residents due to potential changes in fees and reduced direct policy control. Option 3 outlines a hybrid approach in which Creek Sports would continue to focus on foundational recreational level programs for soccer and flag football. The city would also maintain partnerships with the existing recreation level youth sports organizations for a single season of baseball and softball. Under this model, field fees would no longer be waived. Instead, a discounted rate would be required for field usage. If the current youth sports organizations are not amenable to this payment structure, the city could assume operation of baseball and softball, incorporating them into the Creek Sports program. In addition to recreational level programming, partnerships could be developed with outside organizations to offer high-level competitive opportunities in each sport through a formal request for proposal process. These competitive programs would run no longer than 4 months per year and would be offered outside of and immediately following the recreation level seasons. This hybrid model would be implemented in a phased approach over 1 to 2 years, allowing for gradual transition that meets community needs while maintaining high-quality programming. Just as an FYI, a proposed schedule has been drafted. It's a separate document. It was handed out prior. It's the one right here that kind of lays out our fields in the parks on what's scheduled and what's available. And they're in 4-month increments, just as a reference point. And keep in mind, consequently, the Public Works Department has expressed some concerns regarding how this operation may impact the current pristine condition of the fields based on how much scheduling we have on this worksheet, just as an FYI.
So do you want to stop and have a conversation about the 3 options?
Yeah, I do. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I said, do you want to stop Wayne's presentation and discuss the 3 options that were just presented, specifically related to ball fields?
Go ahead. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, just a couple questions. So the idea of like outsourcing, right? Because that's what basically option 2 is, correct?
Correct.
It's hiring a company to oversee the individual sport, or to be all the sports. So is it like company to do soccer, company to do baseball, or is it like one company to do them all? How is like what's the vision on that?
Well, we would put it out as an RFP, a request for proposal, and it could be, I don't know if there's a company out there that does all 4 sports.
Okay.
But we would put it out there as baseball, softball, flag football, and soccer, and then.
So it's like one company would be managing soccer, company A, and then company B would be managing baseball. But the level and the quality could be different based on the companies.
It could be.
Correct? Is that
Correct.
like, okay.
Vice Mayor, if I might just add, I think it would function, I mean, basically it would function like softball and baseball already do. They're parent-run organizations, and this would be, whether or not you pull back and you do an RFP for baseball, a separate one for softball, and a separate one for soccer, it's not going to be a company. It's probably going to be more of a nonprofit, parent-run organization similar to baseball and softball.
And they may be part of an organization, as with the baseball as part of Little League. So there's organizations out there that are affiliated with.
But it's getting in bed with multiple different organizations, pretty much.
It could be, potentially it does have that.
What are the, what would that do to our park staffing? What would that do to the staffing of the Parks and Rec Department if we did do something like that?
They would just be doing other programming, recreational activity. There's other.
Do you see a decrease in staffing with that?
No, because when we moved to this model back then, when we obtained the flag football and soccer, we were asked, are we going to have to add staff? And we did not. We just took that on as the programs with all the programs that we do.
Does the organization pay and hire the referees, or would that be a Coconut Creek responsibility?
That would be the organization's responsibility.
Okay. And if the organization isn't able to follow through on referees for events, does that fall back on the city?
No, it's the responsibility of those organizations running those particular sports.
And if they are unable to succeed on that, right? Because I saw on it, it says city retains oversight and policy control. So the oversight word to me is like, hey, if they can't follow through on getting referees, then oversight, what are we going to do about it?
Yeah, I think that'd be a discussion amongst, with the city and.
We could potentially then step in and take the league back over.
Yeah.
Okay.
There would be guidelines set up in the RFP as such. So that way, if they falter in any way, that the city then could take over those leagues back again.
And with the words nonprofit, right, they would still take the fee. They would still take a fee to join.
They would be self-sufficient.
And then that fee, would a proportion of that fee come back to the city?
I think that'd be a discussion that we need to have tonight to figure out if an outside organization comes in to take over the sport programs, what do you feel comfortable in receiving from those organizations? 80-20%, currently we have a special activity instructor agreement that's 80-20. Is it going to go along those same lines? Or
Understood.
Are we going to come up with a set fee? And as Jack highlighted in his findings, there's cities that have straightforward fees that they request from their organizations, or they do a 80-20 split.
So that would be determined if we go down that road. We would, as a dais, would be able to do that.
Yes.
Okay. I'll pass over to whoever else and let them chibber chabber.
All right, let's use the cue. Who was first? Oh, okay. Go ahead. Go ahead, John.
All right. So I obviously disagree with putting all these out to RFP. We already have 2 standing programs that are self-reliant. They're basically run on their own. Costs us not a dime to run those organizations. And I'm going to be honest with you, they're the 2 most complicated ones to run. All right, baseball and softball, a lot of moving parts, a lot of things that you have to do. That is the model that we should be using, parent ran. And I'm going to tell you why. And for the rec, let's be specific. I'm going to be specific to rec. Okay, when we start talking about the second tier, in fact, I was going to ask a question about, we used to have a tier program. Tier 1 was rec, tier 2 was outside sports, tier 3 was adults, tier 4 was anybody else. All right, so I don't know where that went. That was a thing and a policy that I actually still have from 2014. If you need a copy of it, I still have it in my email. And there was a tier level. And that rec program, the fields were given to the program to run at their will. They turned in a schedule, they coordinated with the Park and Recs Department, and we got the fields. The city's contribution was the field to a rec program. All right, so the fees that were coming in paid for your softballs, baseball, your equipment, pays for your umpires. In Little League, they have volunteers. In softball, we paid umpires, USSSA, to come in and have umpires. Never had an issue with an umpire never showing up because they're paid. Okay, so those kind of things are up to the organization. But I'm totally against taking an established program away, because these are established programs that are in the rebuilding years from the pandemic, and we all know this. Because when I left the program, it was 500 girls in that softball program. They're rebuilding, and they are. And they got great managers in there. They're doing a lot of great stuff trying to rebuild these programs. The soccer program was once that, too. Steve Anderson had 800 kids in his program. And that's not even talking about the 4-on-4 and all the other stuff he did. When Steve walked away, that's when the program started going south. Nobody wanted to step up. But I think parent-ran programs are better for the city because your liability has now gone away. You don't have to deal with the parents. All you need to do is make sure that there's a field present for those teams and those sports. Make sure the fields are lined for baseball, softball. Make sure the goals are out there for the soccer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Small amount of work that we have to do other than monitoring the light and the protection. All right, so that means those rangers could be in more places doing more things rather than trying to run a sport. And I'm going to be honest with you, as a parent and as somebody who ran these programs for 10 years, it took almost 40 hours a week as a president of that league. Okay, so we're talking what's going to happen with that staff. We're taking that responsibility. I'm guaranteed there's not one person on your staff that's putting in 40 hours a week, because I was doing it at night on a second job. There's nobody that's putting 40 hours a week committed, because there's actually 6 of us putting in those many hours. To the city, that's a huge, huge amount of money that we'd have to staff some of these things. If we turn that soccer league over to a parent-ran program, a nonprofit, because that's what these programs are, they're all 501(c)s, right? I know that for a fact because I'm the one that did the paperwork. All right, let them run it, let them have the hassle, let them buy the uniforms, let them buy the equipment, let them deal with the fun parents. All right, then the liability is not on you guys. Okay, and I think it's not so much to ask to go back to that model because it existed and it worked. Now, I know we had issues with the tackle football, which actually which was the downfall of the flag football program. Because once all those people pulled out, it pretty much decimated that program. But to get somebody in there that's passionate about these programs, it's not hard to do. There's plenty of parents in our city that can do that. Take the responsibility and burden off us. All we need to do is provide the fields. Okay, and I think that's with the model that worked, because our programs were growing. You were there, Wayne. We coached together. Yep. All right, these programs were exploding when it was ran that way. When we took them in-house, it doesn't seem that we have the same passion and energy for it, which I can understand. When you don't have skin in a game, you don't have the passion for it. These out to a parent-ran program and let them deal with all the hassle, it takes the burden off you guys. It takes the responsibility having to deal with all the side stuff and all that. All you have to do is reports, make sure the lights are on, make sure the field of chalk, goals are up. Makes it nice and simple for us, save some money and time. As far as the Tier 2, when we start talking competitive and outside programs outside of rec, I have no problem charging them for the fields, because that's what every city does. But the rec programs are kind of our guarded, get the fat kid off the couch syndrome, okay? That's what these programs are meant. They're meant to get the kids off the couch, away from the video games, away from their phones, get them out there and exercise. If we make it so they can't afford to be there, that's ridiculous. So to provide the field for them to go play, let the parents run the program, and we sit back and just provide the fields, make sure that things are there and operating safe. I think that's the way the program was working before. It's the way it should be now, because it worked. It just, circumstances. The other thing was we used to have meetings. I don't know what happened. Do you still hold presidents' meetings?
The city doesn't, but it's up to the organization if they want it. We have coaches' meetings prior to the season with the coaches.
But we used to have presidents' meetings, remember?
Right. Yeah.
We'd sit over there by the tennis courts, and we'd have all the presidents, all the leagues come in, and then we'd hash out everything. And all the presidents got along because everybody knew what everybody else was doing. It makes it a lot smoother. Right now, you guys are doing what you're doing. Everybody else is out there in the void trying to figure out what Coconut Creek sports are doing. I think that's something we need to implement back into this program, too, as we're talking about how we're going to run this. Because once you understand that all these presidents see each other and we speak to each other, then things got a little smoother as far as whose responsibility in fields and not asking for stuff on somebody else's term in these 3 or 4 months that we're talking about during their field time. So it's very important that we understand that worked. That model was working. I don't know how in 10 years later we got so far away from it.
Well, those two teams, don't forget, the flag football and soccer, those presidents walked away from their program and no one wanted to step up. So those programs could have faltered if staff didn't come forward and say, hey, you know what, we can do it.
Okay, so if we say we're going to put
programs back, and obviously it was a waving time. And then, like, currently, I know Enrique does meet with the baseball and softball presidents. It's not as it was back then because it was all the volunteer groups that met. He has some pretty good meetings with the presidents to make sure that things are moving. But we run the soccer and flag football currently, so. But
yeah,
I'm not
and so that's kind of my problem. I think the model worked better when it was a parent-ran organization. And I think putting it out there saying if somebody wants to run that program, to put a bid in for it, give us what you're going to do with that program. And then you manage the manager. You don't manage the the ponds. You manage the manager. That way you're saying, okay, this is your policy. You got to keep to your policy. And then, because it worked, because any time there was a problem on the field, you didn't call a parent, you called me.
Right.
Okay? And then I had to deal with it. And I think it works well, because then it's making them do their responsibility, and it's not an obligation to Enrique or anybody else. All right? All you got to make sure is they're between the white lines. Let the sports play. I think that worked really well. And I'm okay with saying soccer and flag football. Let's put those out to bid. But we already have programs in our city that are already we designate as a rec program. Now, I'm not talking about the Crush or any of those other travel stuff. That's a different ballgame. That's a different tier we're talking about. I don't even want to discuss those because those should be paid programs. You want a field, you pay for it, just like anybody else. But the rec programs need to be nice wrapped up into letting them run the program and you run them. It worked well. We had an ordinance. I'd really like to see that ordinance come back into play, to be honest with you, because it was really, for the most part, pretty good. It got a little squirrely at the end there with Dave Rivera, but we won't get into that. Let me ask you this. You said there was a problem with the Rangers being at certain places at certain times. Now, this would, if we allow the public to run the program, a parent program, then your Rangers will be able to make sure that we're doing safety things that we're I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to be point blank, we're kind of lacking on it right now, because I've been out the fields and watched people on the fields during lightning storms, during horrible rainstorms, and nobody moved. Lights flashing, horns going off, no Ranger to be found. So to me, it makes sense that we run this over to a parent program so our Rangers can do their job to make sure that they're being safe on the field when something like that comes up. So that'll eliminate that problem. The other part is where are the phone numbers posted for the Rangers?
Where is the phone number posted?
Is it posted somewhere?
They're posted online.
Online. So if you're there and you don't have any cell phone service, you just kind of have to, what?
We've actually made a out-office message. So if you were to call Sable Pines Park, it provides the Sable Pines Park park ranger number, and you can contact that person. That person can reach out to any park ranger that's throughout the city, and that person, obviously that person can go run to Gerber or to Lakeside or
how many Rangers do we have running during a single night? Say tonight. Who's out there right now? How many Rangers are running from park to park?
We like to try to have 3 to 4 park rangers staffed on a night. Sometimes we could have 5.
So there's 3 to 4 phone numbers available, what you're telling me.
There's three park ranger numbers, one for Sable. There's 4 park ranger phone numbers, one for Windmill, one for Sable Pines Park.
But that calls an office, right?
No, that calls a cell phone.
Calls a cell phone.
Yes,
Where are those posted at? They're not posted on a field?
The park ranger phone numbers?
Yes.
They are posted on they're posted on permits, yes, thank you. They are provided to the permit holders that are out there. All the league managers and directors have their contact numbers.
So
and
say
also,
I'm an assistant coach.
Courts,
I'm an assistant coach.
Yes.
I walk on the field and the field's locked.
Yep.
Okay?
It's not on the
I'm
field
gonna
at
ask
the
Colin, I
moment.
forgot my
It
phone
is
at
on
home.
all the
What do
court
I do?
fields. Yeah, it's on all the courts. There isn't
So
currently
they're listed on the
fields.
fences is what I'm asking.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
that's the question.
Sorry.
Okay. Whew, that took a little while to get there. Because that's the main complaint that we always have, right? I have a parent come up to me saying, hey, I can't get the fence open, I can't get a hold of a ranger. So that's number one. So if we're going to do this privately, I think that's going to solve that problem because the ranger will be more on the fields, correct? So right now we're starting to look at, we're solving some problems by going one direction, in my opinion here. Because you're going to free up those rangers to be at the fields when they need to be at the fields to do the things that they're supposed to be doing rather than worrying about running programs. Not that I have any problem with running programs, but sometimes I think we want to do good things. We want to do great things. We're a bunch of overachievers here in Coconut Creek. But sometimes we hurt ourselves by doing things like that. And by that, I mean by going out to other leagues and saying, hey, come play in our sport. I don't think we should be selling to other leagues while we're out there. I think if people want to come play for us because we're Coconut Creek, then that should be something they do naturally, not something we go and walk on fields and ask people to do. And there is a reason why I said that. So I see on here that you did a satisfaction survey. It says 98 customer satisfaction. How many people were involved in that?
That's throughout all of our recreation programs and sports programs. At the end of each program, we do a satisfaction survey for all the participants. I don't know, that was from Jack's report directly. I would have to try and find out exactly where he got
Because 98% could be 10 people, and you got 9 people that said, you guys are awesome, out of 2,000 people, right? So that number is very important to know. What was the total number of surveys that were taken, of how many people actually took it? Well, you can't have 0.8 of a person, dude.
Of course not.
Okay, so there we go. So what I'm saying is this. What is the magic number that we actually surveyed and got back? I'd like to know what that is, because 98% doesn't really tell me anything. It's kind of like when we did a survey on forks, and it was 14 people, and it was 78% failure, right? So the numbers can be skewed. I need to know how many people we actually surveyed, because that does make a difference. I got more questions, but I think I'm boring my colleagues up here. I'm going to let them ask questions and get to their things, but I'm going to circle back because I'm not done, okay? So if somebody else wants to jump in real quick.
Go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I'll be succinct. I think question number 1 was option 1, 2, or 3. I probably won't be as succinct as you want me to be. I think it's a hybrid 2, and I say a hybrid 2 because I think you cannot. I think John has missed the mark a little bit, not in a bad way, in terms of thinking that the parents are going to engage how they engaged a decade ago. I'm part of the newer generation, and I say it, that it's impossible to have certain parent-run leagues in the current climate today, and it's sad. Do I believe there's partner organizations? For example, I think that there's a private-public partnership for soccer that could be done tomorrow to make a much more robust soccer program. Done, end of story. It shouldn't be an RFP process. It's a simple partnership with someone that's here, acting. Keep Creek Sports. I don't think you dissolve Creek Sports because I think there's some branding issues there. I don't think, you give them half the rake of what we're charging somebody to be involved in the program, what 80, 20, 70, 30, I don't care. Whatever option it is, you bring in that partner. So, John, I only say it because I don't think parents, and I see it in action because I'm a coach, are going to long-term sustain what I wish they would. So I think in the other sports, which you talk about flag, and then we'll talk about indoor sports because there's like a power, Sandy was kind enough to show me that you address indoor sports, you need professional partners. And when I say professional partners, I'm not talking about necessarily the parent. I'm talking about somebody in the private sector that could teach coaches how to. A lot of people don't want to coach, not because they don't want to coach. They don't know what the hell they're doing. So a parent would love to coach, but he's like, I don't know how to play that sport, so why am I going to do it? If you had the right conduit in a public-private partnership, that person gets the support that they need.
Can I address that real quick? Because I'm going to say that
you talked a lot, but you want to go more?
Because you're addressing something I think you're off a little bit. Because I said the same thing when I broke.
Why don't we let Josh finish his thought, and then you can address it.
So, and John, I didn't take that as don't take that. I wasn't attacking. I say it because to have and the city picked up the slack when all these other organizations went defunct. So I look at it like I think you're right with parent-run organizations, but I think it has to be people that are in private industry. So like, the elephant in the room, we have a soccer organization operating in the city that should be a conduit in partnership with city sports, period. It exists. It's here. They're here. I'm not saying it because they're here. I'm saying it because there's a natural partnership to be taking place to move forward. In some capacity, I believe that there's entities when we talk about indoor sports, with basketball, with volleyball. Right now we're asking our city staff, all of them are recreation trained in some capacity, to run a basketball league, a volleyball league, a flag football league, a soccer league. John's correct in if you don't have skin in the game, what are you doing? Don't get me wrong, everyone's great. Dan is great with soccer, right? Dan's not a former, I don't think Dan's a soccer player. Did Dan play soccer?
He does
Anybody?
a lot of things.
I know he does a lot of things, but was he like a soccer player? Okay. So I say it from a capacity that if you have a public-private partnership, you bring in that parent, right? The parent, that's a soccer player that wants to step up. But it needs to be some formalized relationship and a public-private relationship. So I don't think you dissolve Creek Sports in option 2. I think you have the partnership with the parent private organizations that could support Creek parents and grow it. That's what I think. And I think that's the only way you can succeed moving forward. And I think it solves two issues. The first thing to go if property tax reform happens is like all you guys and all your programming. Like really, like let's be clear here. I don't mean that in a good way. It's disgusting. But property tax reform happens. Lowest hanging fruit, Parks and Rec programming. Regrettably. I mean, you're shaking your heads. I don't know if everyone agrees with that, but that's a reality. Sheila's probably going to kill me after today. But really, that's when you're talking base programming of not staffing, but programming levels, that's the lowest hanging fruit to chop, right? None of us want to do that. Now, if you have a private-public partnership, you have private industry that is willing to keep up and step up in maintaining the program level where there's not staffing level, there's not programming levels on whatever that is. So I think it's a no-brainer moving to the future. And maybe, John, we're speaking in conflict when you say parent-run, because I think you, and I'm curious, yeah,
Mike,
I only say it
are
because
you a parent?
I am a parent.
Okay.
No, let's wait. Let's wait till
I say it because I think you need, in the sports that don't have the foundation, such as baseball and softball, you need a professional conduit to come in to add that. Listen, I've coached basketball for 5 years now. I know what I'm doing. Half the parents that I try to talk into coaching, and we're not allowed to talk about indoor sports, so I'll just give it as a reference point. Even soccer. I coach soccer. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Right? I would have loved, and I've said this to you, I would love somebody that knows what the hell they're doing to tell, hey, Josh, here's how to run a practice. We don't really do that in Creek sports. It's a deficiency. But it's not an expectation because you guys aren't trained to teach a coach how to coach. But if we make the right public-private partnership, the proof is in the pudding. And I think we're just talking about different things, because I'm talking about bringing in private industry in concert. So to give consensus, option 2, I don't know if we get rid of Creek Sports. It's branded well. You see people on Facebook posting their Creek Sports jersey from 20 years ago. Like, that's good. That's branding. You want it. So you find the right partner. And I don't love an RFP. I think Terrell will kill us all after. Okay. But I think that there is private industry, or as John said, parent-led nonprofits, whatever you want to call it. And again, I think we're just saying the same thing.
Yeah.
But somebody that understands the subset, because that's what grows it. I've watched basketball deteriorate in the city. It's the usership for girls basketball and girls sports, aside from volleyball that's increased, the majority of them are going downhill. And I think that's because if we had the right infrastructure, that is not your expectation to go hire an instructional volleyball coach, basketball coach, soccer coach. It's not what you're meant to do, let alone find the budget to go find the expert that could teach people. It exists. If we give them a little piece of the pie, I think we're going to see wild success. So 2, with this public-private partnership. And maybe I'm mistaking private for nonprofit, but however you want to, I think the gist is being made clear.
And I just want to clarify, the reason we keep talking about RFP, and it doesn't need to be such an extensive thing, we do need to have fairness in the selection process and written agreements. And written agreements.
I don't think anybody on this commission, for consensus purpose, is going to disagree to consistency in written agreements, consistency in process, and fairness.
Thank you.
I think we all agree with that. Fair?
That's paramount.
Everyone agrees.
Equality is paramount, and to have a policy and an agreement, it must be.
I agree.
Right? That's the bottom line. Okay.
Ready?
Yes, Commissioner
Okay.
Welsh.
Thank you very much. No, I think it's bottom line is consistency, because to have not only the fairness will happen when we have consistency and written policies in place, regardless of who is running the programs, whether it be our city staff, who is phenomenal, by the way, or whether it's parent-run, or if it's another option of what we have already discussed here already in various forms. I remember when soccer and flag football, I was with our granddaughter, and there was a rush to go sign up for these programs. I mean, you had to get there on time to be able to sign up, because it was that prominent and that prevalent. So thank you for stepping up to the plate and taking it over when it fell by the wayside with the parent run. The parent-run baseball and softball is incredible. They do what they do. I just need to make sure that however they sort themselves out, that we have the field assignment, however that process sorts itself out, so that when their season is, that they have fields, that it isn't like a monthly basis, or I don't know how it really is designed right now, but so that whatever their season is, I guess up to 4 months, that they know that they have a field for those, and they're not searching to see if they have a field. The biggest thing that I think is the travel teams need to pay to play, and that our residents have first choice on however these programs are administered. I'm not opposed to an RFP for the soccer and the flag football. I do like Josh's idea, Commissioner Rydell's idea about training for these parent-run. If it turns out that it's a parent-run nonprofit that takes over, is interested in the soccer and flag football in addition to the baseball and softball, that they do get some, to me, the training would be the incentive, because I wouldn't want to go out there and try to teach soccer right now, even though I might raise my hand, I wouldn't. So that's where I am with that. I just wanted to know about the session, on option 3, it talks about providing partners can provide competitive and travel programs. The option talked about programs can be offered when creek sports are not in season. Well, how many months are left? What months would that be that soccer and flag football and baseball and softball? What are the months left for competitive and travel? I mean, I shouldn't be worried because if they're paying to play, but I just wonder how many months does that mean?
The proposed schedule that you have in front of you.
Well, I just saw, this just appeared tonight, so I didn't have a chance to digest it.
We tried to put it on the presentation, and as you could see, it was just too large in order for us to even be able to get it.
So in a nutshell.
So in a nutshell, each sport in this proposal would have 4 months of recreation, followed by 4 months of a competitive or a higher level, and then 4 months off for that sport. Because we're trying to propose that the youth do multiple sports throughout the year instead of just stay with one sport all year long. So that way, if somebody wants to strictly just do recreation, they can now do soccer, flag football, and either baseball or softball throughout the year. They would have 4 months of each. And if they just wanted to do football, they could do 4 months of rec and then 4 months of competitive football and then take a break off, 4 months off. That is a proposed schedule. And as Wayne alluded to, though, that there is some reservations because as you can see the color on these graphs, the fields are at almost maximum capacity, which means there's very little room for rest.
So
there is some reservation from Public Works as far as the field conditions that we keep at a very high level may start to deteriorate if we were to go this route.
Okay, so does that lead one to believe that the travel and competitive should not have a seat at the table, whether they pay to play because of the field conditions and
Well, competitive now pays.
Okay.
It's rec. The baseball and softball currently do not pay for.
Where are we overusing the fields where they don't have time to rest? And what is the opportunity to be able to change that?
Well, Enrique and his crew do a great job, along with Public Works, filling in those spots to ensure that there is rest periods at certain fields throughout the year to ensure that we don't have issues where Gerber's shut down for 2 months at a clip, or that Sable Pines Park is shut down for a certain amount of months during the year because that grass needs to rest and grow, or new grass that's planted needs to secure and grow.
Well, I don't know how that fits into what the options that were suggested and the options that we're discussing.
I don't think it does for the purposes of option A, B, or C.
It does not. It does not. It's not as this.
Well, how we have to, now that it's a part of the conversation, it has to be a part of whatever policy is that we're planning to take forward in whatever the option turns out to be.
It's necessary no matter which option we take.
So who do we look to find a recommendation for that?
So Brian Rosen is here from Public Works, and I know they did have some reservation. What we're doing now is, for instance, if a field needs to rest, we're moving a program to another field and working to accommodate them. Currently, the scheduling has been happening month to month. The proposal would be 4-month blocks and 4-month blocks. But it might be that we'll need to have some caveats in the competitive schedules that require some rest periods, and it may be that it's not a full 4 months. So, there will be options that can be worked out to allow the fields to rest, if there isn't an alternative field to move them to.
We did that before, so that's not a new concept that we've had. We've rotated fields. There was times that when we tried to get fields, we couldn't get it for our travel program because that field was resting due to soccer. So they moved the fields around quite nice. I'm not going to complain about that. That the rest is part of the program to make sure that we don't destroy fields. Because as we're seeing it now, we get adult soccer leagues that come in on a Sunday and tear our field up. It's not really our, 50-pound eighth grader doing it. It's the 200-pound guy sliding. It's the outside soccer leagues are coming and throwing trash and destroying the fields when we're not able to catch them in time. So that's what's tearing the fields up.
Well, then that to me should be the last consideration of assignment of fields. Ours are first.
And we do have it set up that way. We
Okay.
have it set up to where the youth have the priorities, but there are resident rest. We do permit that field out to that resident to play their particular sport that they're playing.
This third option would not have as many fields available for those other outside renters to come in that may be used to renting on a regular basis in our city, because now we would recognize a recreation level and a competitive level for each sport. So there wouldn't be as many permits available for those outside organizations to utilize our fields then, if we go that route.
So that's how you would control it, limit the amount of permits for the competitive or travel.
Yeah, it'd be more organized this way.
Okay.
Is it, let me ask a couple questions. Is Creek Sports profitable?
Yes.
Okay.
I
Do
would
we have-
suggest no.
Oh, okay.
Creek Sports is,
It covers costs.
Yes.
It covers the
it's
costs.
certainly not profitable.
Okay.
It covers the direct costs, but not, it is underwritten in part by the city general fund.
Okay.
And keep in mind, too, that we keep those Creek Sports fees very low for our residents.
Sure.
Where an outside person coming in will not have those fees at our level because we're
Understood.
thinking of the resident.
Well, my next question was going to be how much profit, but we don't have profit. So what happens, with an organization, right, parent-run organization, what happens when the parent doesn't want to do it anymore? What's the succession planning like for some of these organizations? And Commissioner, you've been doing a lot of this and that. So let us all understand what's going on, because we all don't have the experience that you do. Well, I'm asking them. So
Well, we did hear the term consistency amongst many of you tonight, so as Enrique could probably chime in, when you do have parent-run organizations, there is a higher risk of turnover, especially after their child ages out. They then don't want to participate anymore, or that they do it for a couple of years and it's just too much, as Commissioner Brody alluded to, that it is a lot of work and then they have to just turn it over. So there is the chance that they will turn it over every 2 to 5 years to
that goes
another
into the
organization.
oversight, right? That goes into the oversight, because if you're having these organizations, you should, as a city who's offering this through the city, but through the organization, we should know that there's succession. I would just think, right? Because it's kind of like a PTO, right? You have some schools, and for 4 years of a high school, right, the PTO is great because you got that freshman parent who's super excited, super energetic, and for 4 years, PTO is going to be thriving. All of a sudden they graduate, PTO dies. Okay, that's why I kind of want to understand what goes on with these organizations, and if we're going to make agreements with them and offer them to our residents, how does that look when that parent who's super gung-ho today then moves on, when the kid graduates or whatever? That's my question on that.
Can I answer that for you? Do you mind?
You sure? But I would never be able to ask you unless we're on this dais. So.
Right. So they ran their own sports. They ran city sports. I ran for 10 years a parent-ran program. You have a board, which means you have a president, vice president, you have a treasurer. It's a complete board, just like this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so when the president steps down, there is the next person stepping up.
Okay.
All right, so the board, so it never crumbles like you would imagine. Okay, well that guy leaves, it disappears. It only crumbles for outside elements. So the pandemic destroyed youth sports. Right? So we're still recovering from a pandemic with a lot of these sports. A lot of these kids started turning to TV and their phones and things like that. So it's going to take a while for that to build back up again.
But at the same...
what happened is this. When I stepped down, the new president took over, and they ran the league. When that president moved out to Tampa, the next president came up, they did a vote. That's their organization they run.
I understand.
And so it always feeds up to the next person. What happened with football was the tackle football program was, how do I say this without sounding horrible? It was not. It was an outside program, basically.
They moved out
Okay,
of the city.
hold on. I gotta.
Can I reel you guys in?
Yeah, I just had. I got. So, Carl Springs has a hybrid approach. It looks like, right? They have some organization run, and then I know they have some city run, right? I just checked the website, so don't disagree with me. So, if we're going to dive into something like that, would we engage maybe, let's learn from other cities. Let's, I mean, do you go to parks meetings with other park directors and like learn about what's going on in the county and like how to, so if we're going to do something like that, I'd like for us to like look at the neighbor and see how they're doing things, because they do have that hybrid approach. I think hybrid 2, where there's a couple city-run things, and then there's a lot of organizations who are running the programs. I'll dish it back to the mayor. I know she wants to reel us in. Thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you. It seems that everyone is leaning towards a hybrid number 2. Is that at this point in time for the options?
Can I just ask?
And then we can move on.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
This is important. I just want a distinction, because this is important just for me to kind of
Sure.
understand not only where John's coming through, but hybrid number 2. John, are you focusing hybrid number 2 solely on the ones that are taking softball and baseball out of it? Are you envisioning non-youth sports league sports run as Coconut Creek Soccer League, new name, new profit, new business? I'm just curious your vision. Or kind of what I'm saying is bring in whatever entity, private entity, they may be a nonprofit, but if someone's got a little skin in the game and they're making a little money, they're going to run a program better. I'm just curious your philosophical thought on that.
All right. So the problem when you have somebody who's making money on a program, that's all they're going to be looking at. They're going to look at bottom line. The bottom line when you run a youth sport program is the youth part of it. Okay. So when you start saying getting an outside entity like one of the soccer leagues, right, that comes in and they got them all over the place, right? They're all over the South Florida. They're going to come in. We're going to be Creek Elite Soccer Program of Coconut Creek, blah, blah, blah. That guy is no longer going to be attached to it. He's going to get people hired in to do it. There's no skin in the game with them. It's all about the dollar. So who suffers in the program? The kids suffer. And we watch it happen. When you have somebody who has skin in the game, and I'm telling you, there's people who love these games, especially soccer. All right? And flag football, that might be a little hard to get skin in the game with some of those people, but I'm sure there's somebody out there, because when I took softball over, they said the same thing to me. So the idea is, yeah, you can go get that entity, but I don't know how long it's going to last. We might be in the same boat 2 or 3 years from now. Worst scenario, because they pull out and now you got to go rebuild another program. When you have a parent, then there's always a chain of command that pushes up. And I'm going to be honest with you. I sat here for 10 years and I watched the first 4 or 5 years. No offense to Wayne, because Wayne wasn't in charge back then. But they systematically went after Steve Anderson at his program. They said, okay, well, you can't do this, you can't do this. Start boxing them in more and more and more and more. It was harder to run the program, because it was getting so big. So they, in my opinion, as somebody who was going through it when it happened, it was more of the city kind of putting restraints on him and making the guy back out of it to the point where he didn't want to do it anymore. That's how the program started kind of falling apart. Flag football was a different story. That was completely on the organization itself, some very illegal stuff that was going on. Soccer was a little different. Soccer was a push to get whatever reason. I don't even know, not sure, because Steve Anderson was a great guy. Mm-hmm. And he ran a great program. Yeah. But it's just systematically they were pushing into it till we ended up to this point where he walked away from it. And then the city had to take it over. But I think the trigger was pulled a little fast on that, to be honest with you, in my opinion. I think they should have given some time for somebody to step up and run the program.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thanks for the history lesson on that, because we all need to know how it was done prior so we can move forward.
I don't blame any of this on you, Wayne. Wayne, you kind of had the problem with it. We had something, we kind of got away from it, circumstances, life, and everything else. I think when we start looking at 2020.
I think I was speaking, John. I'm sorry. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Put a mic in front of you.
Okay. I do have to say, there's arguments on both sides. If you have a professional team that comes in here, they do want to make this a success. Their reputation depends on it. And they make sure that they have the personnel, they have the training, and they want to see this succeed. And the kids will benefit from it. My husband, as well as you, John, he started a softball team for girls. He volunteered. He coached for 10 to 15 years. It's high school softball. But sports are cyclical. What's on the top of the heap today, it could be on the bottom of the heap next year. So it is cyclical. But to have an independent come in here and just sign policies with them, I think that could be a good thing. How many staff members do we have actually running these teams? These are the rec sports.
Like 2.
2?
We have 2
Oversee.
that oversee each of the different.
That oversee, and then we have volunteers that are actually coaching and doing. It's basically the same thing as a parent-run organization, right?
Yep.
They're just overseeing, and we're just administering these programs.
Yep.
So at this, right? Am I?
You're if you under the guise of Creek Sports, yes.
Yes.
Under it currently.
That's right.
Yes.
Under the current, right? So we're basically just looking to expand on that, right? With agreements, with proposals, with fees, with accountability, and to even out the playing field, excuse the pun. But that's what we need to do, level out the playing field.
I need to make
for all sports.
I apologize, Mayor. Just a brief qualification to what John said, because when I talk about bringing people in private, I'm not talking about, an entity coming in that's like a corporation that wants to make money. I'm talking about whoever that private individual
whatever.
That they're compensated for the time to build the program. So I don't see it as a corporation coming in. I see it as whoever that individual is that is going to make sure coaches learn how to coach, make sure practices are all consistent and run, make sure that kid who's on Team A is having the same experiences on Team B, which we don't have right now. That's what I mean. Not like somebody making money, somebody being compensated for their time to devote to the program. If that
and I agree with you, Josh. And I'm going to say he's got a point. So when we ran programs, we brought people in to coach our coaches. Am I right? We got a coach and a mom right here. All right? She was in my league. Her daughter was in my league. We ran clinics. We hired people to come in. We had pitchers come in, show pitching so that they can get clients, but they did it for free. The difference between a parent-ran program, or we're going to say an outside entity-ran program, if that's palatable to everybody, versus the city-ran program is you're not going to get that same thing from a city employee. They're not going to go the extra mile to go find these clinics and do that stuff unless they're told to. We did it because it was the right thing to do. That keeps the burden off you guys from having to do that. Let the parent run. I totally agree with that. If you're going to bring them in, let them run the clinic. Let them get the coaches trained, all that stuff. You're right. The hybrid is probably the best way to kind of go about this. But
So I need to understand what you're talking about hybrid. So the 2 parent-run organizations right now, nonprofit organizations, the baseball and the softball, we're talking about keeping those in place, but the Creek Sports Run is going out on an RFP for an organization to bid the services to run those programs? Is that what we're talking about?
I am having a hard time with this, that we're eliminating a sport that is very popular, and that's soccer. And I think soccer should be.
We're not eliminating it.
No. I'm saying into our sports, into Creek Sports. It should be a part of Creek Sports. That's what I think on that level.
It is right now.
It is on that level.
It's not being run successfully.
But it's not being run, so we have to figure out how we can.
Suggestion, bringing in a partner, entity, individual, whether it's RFP, whether it's a 1099 employee situation, whatever it is, bringing in that hybrid partner to excel the program.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I think it's a much broader brush.
Right.
Under the limited scope, yes.
Soccer and flag football, we're talking about an RFP for a nonprofit organization to come in and provide those services with the accountability. And then the current parent-run baseball and softball to stay in place. We just have to decide whether there are fees
Go to back to the other slide.
or not.
And a clarification
For them.
that Right now, there aren't written agreements with those existing YSOs. We would anticipate the need to have a written agreement with them,
Absolutely.
because it's been handled.
Absolutely. This is taken care of the willy-nilly.
Yes.
Across.
All other sports to be rolled out
Right.
indoors.
Yes.
Right.
And I have a question though, like you're saying that the Creek Sports Soccer is not successful? Like how do you come up with saying Creek Sports Soccer is not successful?
I mean, okay, I'll answer that. I'll answer that, and I don't mean to answer that critically.
No.
Playing in a game is successful. A kid getting off a couch is successful. A coach and an experience that's inconsistent depending on what your team is, that's inconsistent how you learn the sport, that's inconsistent in terms of the delivery and the method a child learns how to play a sport is not successful. You don't need to clap. Thank you. But that's what I deem is not successful. But it's not a deficiency on staff, because your job isn't to coach these kids.
Right.
The deficiency is if we have the right run system. And again, it's not a knock on Creek Sports. It's how can we be better? Right. You guys kicked it off like that. How can we build? And the answer is how we build is bringing in the right partner. So the kid on my team is having the same experience as the kid on Jeff's team. Mm-hmm. That they're learning the sport, they're learning the rules, they're learning sportsmanship, as opposed to that parent who has a shitty, part of my language, has a poor experience because of the coach or the team that year. And then they're like, man, I'm not going to play that again. But if we have consistency in learning, in method and technique, that's the success. And I don't think we're delivering on that because it's not in your wheel. None of you are expected to deliver that. The delivery is putting on a volunteer parent in Creek Sports, which is not fair unless you're given the tools to succeed.
But with this other
Did that answer your question?
option, you're still having parents coach,
But
correct?
you're having the facility of an entity of whether it, you know.
Is there a first of all, and I know maybe he brought it up. I'm not. Coaches clinics, right?
Yes.
So we have coaches clinics.
We do offer that, yes.
Okay. There's a.
Too many rabbit holes to go down. It's not a coach's clinic in Creek Sports is not what you remotely envision.
Okay.
In all fairness, it's not. It's not a trained professional teaching you how to teach kids. That's not what you're getting delivered on.
Okay. Just Mayor, you go. I'm sorry.
So I'm hearing a consensus for option number 2, hybrid, where all 4 sports would be offered through YSOs, depending on how we get there. We have 2 that are grandfathered for the most part. We would enter into written agreements with them, and we would go through a selection process for the other 2 YSOs that might administer those other 2 programs. Is that consistent with your opinion of the consensus?
But let's say you put something out for flag football, right? And you don't get a response. So now it stays with Creek Sports. Okay.
And fees. We haven't discussed the fees, or not.
Right.
Commensurate for whatever contract.
Well, so that's the secondary question. Right now, we do not charge field fees for. So for baseball and softball, we do not charge fees. Our Creek Sports is currently delivering the soccer and the flag football, so they're not charged fees for those rec programs. So the question is, should we attach a fee for field usage for recreation programs or only for the competitive programs?
Only competitive.
Okay, I hear the consensus.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody heard the consensus?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the lines would be increased.
Okay. Wayne?
Yes.
Thank you. I think we can move on to indoor.
That's indoor sports was the next one. Is that the one?
Yep. Okay.
This is Creek Indoor. In addition to the 2 outdoor sports offered through Creek Sports, the city also provides indoor recreational level use sports programs at the community center and recreation complex. Currently, Creek Sports offers boys and girls basketball and volleyball indoors. As we evaluate the future of outdoor Creek Sports programs, it may also be important to consider the role of indoor Creek Sports. At present, these programs are managed and run by Parks and Recreation staff. Moving forward, the city may choose to explore a formal request for proposal process for indoor sports as well. Regarding fees and equity considerations, most peer cities charge their partnership youth sports organizations, such as our parent-run baseball and softball programs, for the use of their fields. It is also important for the city to establish a consistent resident priority across all youth sports programs, ensuring that residents receive priority access and lower rates than non-residents.
Let me interrupt you, Wayne, and ask that if the mayor wants to suggest we have any discussion on the indoor sports, any additional discussion.
If you want to wait till he... Sure, okay, all right.
Move on.
Go ahead. Josh, Commissioner Rydell.
My suggestion would be to be consistent in the exactly what we just said. I will just say, and to the point when we talk about striving with field space, and Enrique's probably not the right one of you guys can. I mean, we don't publish to our residents at all when gyms are available. Doesn't happen. And our leagues, and this is not a criticism, I hate the fact that my daughter is playing in a different city, but she can't play basketball in our city, but for 2 months. So girls basketball is like literally a 2-month season. Other cities run full year. Now, we can't do that. It's simply impossible, and I agree with the staggered approach of different sports, boys, girls, volleyball, boys, girls. I get it. We need to figure something else with our gyms or modify to an outdoor use. I only say it because I think same consistent position, and I think the right partners are there, and then we also need to figure out other space, but it's limited, and that's the hardest part. And we need to try to have some consistency because our girls' basketball program has deteriorated over the past 3 years, and we're losing kids routinely to Boca and Coral Springs because they have longer seasons or all-year opt-in seasons. But I don't think we could do that. I just don't think it's possible. So I'm cognizant of the issue, but the only complaint I'm getting from people, which was my complaint, my standing objection, is we don't highlight open gym space to anybody at all. And I've tried to play on Sundays, and I actually get kicked out. So that's all I got.
Commissioner Welsh.
Thank you very much. So to Commissioner Rydell's point, an RFP for the 3 indoor sports plus coaching clinics offered and the resident priority be in place. And is there a reason why we don't have the, okay, so the gym availability is because there's so much demand on the, for these 3 sports with the 2 gyms that we're not able to accommodate any further scheduling?
That's correct. Actually, our youth boys basketball is actually split by age groups because we need to spread it out over the year in order to get all of these sports in the gymnasium at one time.
And those are not, those are through the week. They're a Monday through Friday gym sport use, not a weekend.
No, we use weekends, Saturdays as well at both locations.
So is there a time, to Commissioner Rydell's point, for a resident to impromptu, like they do out on the fields, go on the gym floors, or is that an
Similar to the fields,
today?
we do offer open play indoors, but it is limited, and each location does have a calendar that's accessible to the residents if they want to call. Also, they can find out when the open play is. It is limited because we do have so many sports year-round, but we do try and offer it as best as we can for anyone who wants to come in and utilize the indoor.
I would ask that we post that, or at least make it a piece of the policy or guidelines that we're putting into place, that there is accessibility to the calendar for those to open play availability.
Yeah, I would agree.
Also, Josh, Commissioner Rydell, to your point that the youth wants to continue the league play, maybe we can utilize some of the schools' gyms.
So the answer to that program would be a partnership with Lions Creek, really, because they have 4 full courts that we arguably are allowed to use. We have a partnership with them. The Creek's our basketball's never really embraced doing anything outside. We're traditionally an indoor league. Our games are inside. Coral Springs, for example, all their leagues that they run and why they're able to run year-round, it's all outdoor. So there's a difference in what you're playing and where you're playing, but there's room to grow with a higher utilization of the Lions Creek courts as opposed to just practice.
Right.
for food for thought.
Okay.
They know this. I mean, they
Yeah.
do the best they can with extreme limited resources for our indoor sports, which is why I thought Jack should have dealt with that, because that's something visually we should have seen. That's all.
Is it, now we say indoor sports, right? I know in a lot of cities that basketball is played outside and inside. We have outside playing for any basketball here?
League play games are indoors. We do have practices that can take place outside.
Okay, because I know in other cities, they have outside courts that could be utilized for leagues, and because I'm just asking, is it ever been, we have a small client base, I would say. I think it's small, right? And maybe people disagree. Has there ever been a pulse? We partnered with Coral Springs and 911. Has there ever been a pulse to do a co-city athletics thing or something like that? Because 2,700 is not a lot, but if maybe there was a taste for at least exploration on working with some of those Coral Springs leagues to enhance the playing field, because now there more fields, more places to play. I don't know if it's outlandish, but it's just a thought that came to me, because all of a sudden you're getting more opportunities, and things can be run at levels that are really high rather than a small group of people. I don't know. That's just my thought. I don't know if anybody else.
What do you think of that?
Okay.
Okay, that's interesting.
Microphones.
So the consensus that we hear is the same. You might want to ask that.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the consensus is to keep the indoor sports policy the same as the outdoor sports, the hybrid 2 option, consistent with the hybrid option 2. Yes.
And is there also a
We have a
sentiment that we should
consensus.
look at an outdoor basketball league?
What happened?
Well, I think that allows you to extend it,
Did I
right?
burn you?
An outdoor basketball league, I think it could be a hybrid. Some games are outside, some games are inside.
Well, to go to Danielle's point, which I think is very well taken, when you deal with a sport and you're crunched down, when you look to extend the life, and I agree, because I think maybe what's the crux age, 11, 12, where kids pre-11, 12 are playing 3 sports a year when they're learning what they like, and getting kids a little older, they want to be committed year-round. Yeah. I think it would be a secondary offering, not for now, but I think you keep what you keep, and then if kids want to continue to play, there's an outdoor league option down the road. I'm not saying any of that, but I think...
Why does it have to be an outdoor league option? I grew up in Coral Springs. We were playing we didn't even have a gymnasium at one point, right? The Coral Springs gym wasn't even built. So we were playing outside all the time.
If they know there's an indoor option, they're going to want the indoor option.
Yeah.
I understand that, but why can't it be a hybrid? Why can't we have not an indoor option? It's just called creek basketball, or it just says current indoor creek sports. It should just be. It's just, you have courts. We have courts at Windmill. We have Gerber's even. These courts are really well maintained. They're really good. I understand it's practice, but if we're limited on space sometimes, why not utilize the outside when it's perfectly functionable? It's like a waste of space. They're really, you drive by Windmill, every night there are people playing pickup, right? It's crazy. There's like a bunch of courts there. So I don't understand why we wouldn't build out and say, hey, we have the indoor, because we're limited on space, which is a huge discussion, even though the survey guide, Jack didn't touch indoor sports yet. But it's just something to think about and reflect on, that we should just be limited to an inside gym to play basketball. I'm sorry, we shouldn't.
Yes. Okay, then. We're moving on. We are Coconut Creek nonprofits utilizing indoor space.
I think I got to spend tomorrow night with everybody, too.
Okay. Do we have a presentation on that, or
Yep.
this is just an
Coconut.
open discussion?
Oh.
I think really what you might want is just a little bit of an overview of what we're currently doing. There are nonprofits that are using gym space for fundraising events and for meetings, and we're just looking for some guidance and for some consistency on how those nonprofits are treated as it relates to our charging them for usage of our facilities, the frequency of how often they can use our facilities for free, or whether there should be a fee. So I thought Wayne would give you a little bit of an overview of who's using them, how they're using them, and the timing.
I'll go down. Coconut Creek nonprofit organizations currently utilize city indoor spaces for a variety of purposes. At present, there are no formal agreements with these organizations, with the exception of the Friendship Journey, which provides free programming for residents and non-residents with special needs at the recreation complex on Saturdays. As a result, the city does not charge the Friendship Journey for room use. Two other Coconut Creek nonprofits, the Women's Club and Multicultural Club, also use city indoor spaces at no cost throughout the year. These in-kind services include access to meeting spaces for organizational meetings and special events open to residents and non-residents, often involving the sale of goods or services during these events. In many cases, staffing and equipment are also provided at no cost to the organizations. Currently, the Women's Club holds one meeting per month at the Row Activity Center and hosts 5 special events annually in parks and recreation facilities. The Multicultural Club meets once per month at the Community Center and conducts 2 special events annually in parks and recreation facilities. All these services are provided at no cost to the organizations. Each of you have been provided the handout outlining possible options for how Coconut Creek nonprofits may utilize indoor spaces moving forward. Potential.
It's recommended.
Correct. Staff recommends the following guidelines be applied consistently across all options. All Coconut Creek nonprofits seeking indoor space for meetings or special events would be eligible for a maximum of 1 room per month at either the community center or recreation complex for an organizational meeting. The designating room would have a maximum capacity of 40 occupants, equivalent to rooms A, B, or C at the community center, or the Oak Room or Jamie's Room at the recreation complex. Use of a larger room or additional rooms would incur a cost to the organization. The cost for this monthly meeting room may be offered at no charge, a discounted rate, or at the full rate. Attendance at these meetings must be limited to Coconut Creek residents who also are members of the organization. If non-residents or non-members attend, the organization would be responsible for the applicable room rental fees. Each nonprofit may host a maximum of 2 special events per year, whether held indoors or outdoors. If a nonprofit chooses to host a special event, it may not reserve meeting space during that same month in which that special event is held. At the conclusion of this presentation, staff will be seeking guidance and consensus regarding whether and to what extent Coconut Creek nonprofits should be charged for indoor space moving forward. Future planning and policy support.
I think we can stop there and have the discussion at this point.
Okay.
I'm not going to speak. I just have a qualifier. Is the Friendship Journey, it's not, I wouldn't call that a nonprofit because they're like a sub-entity of the city. Is that correct?
It's a nonprofit.
It's a partnership. So let me just make an understanding here, because I think it's a really important distinction for the discussion we're going to go down.
I was going to say.
They're on our website. We have a formal partnership agreement.
Yes.
Do you believe anything we decide on this today is going to affect what they do?
Unless we adjust the agreement, no. The agreement is in place at what they receive. Correct.
They're going to, I know you referenced them. I just want to be clear. Whatever we decide today is going to have zero impact on their continuing program for the special needs community based on the partnership the city has, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Vice Mayor, I defer to you. That was an important distinction prior to discussion.
I appreciate that. So I have a couple questions about this. When we have a nonprofit do a special event, what is the burden on paid Creek staff?
It depends on the event.
Okay. Community center, gymnasium, setup. What is the burden on our staff when something like that happens?
So depending on the, can you hear me okay?
I hear you.
So depending on the setup, we have anywhere from 1 to more staff. Depending on the setup, you have tables, chairs. If they're utilizing any equipment, we help them out with decorations at times, use of our equipment such as like art panels to inflatables. It's a range of things.
Is there overtime for staff?
We flex their schedule if needed.
Okay.
Because all the events that's scheduled for nonprofits are during the hours of operation of the facility.
Okay. So, so on a day that an event is happening, we have staff ready to service and assist, right? And let's say there's something happening, right, inside another room. You know, what would take priority in that? So if, let's say, somebody was renting out the ABC room, and then there was an event in the gym, and the gym needs really a lot of help setting up, how do we prioritize what the staff is doing at that point?
Sorry, based on the reservation, so we control that depending on who is permitting the facility.
Okay.
And then we can accommodate the staff that way.
Okay. What constitutes a special event for these nonprofits? What is a special event?
Something that's open for the entire community, basically. It's something that most of the time they're using the gymnasium, which is not something that we have on our rental room rates. It's available for this group because they're doing good for the community, and they come in and run a special event where we assist with them to move their event.
Now, on the slide, it says no formal agreements. Let's say there is a meeting at night and somebody falls, somebody slips. Who's the liability on? Is it on the city or is it on the organization?
Well, they do reserve the room via RecTrack, which has a waiver attached to it that way. When we say no more formal agreements, we're saying similar to the friendship journey that we have listed in there, the amount of rooms they get, the services that they provide, the fees that are associated with it, and there's a time frame for that agreement. The way that the Women's Club and the Multicultural Club work when they reserve rooms is they do reserve the room via RecTrack, which a waiver is involved in that.
Okay, good. I just wanted to clarify. Can you give me the pricing on renting the gymnasium per hour?
We don't have a fee.
No, I'm saying for regular organizations. If an organization wanted to...
That's one fee that we do not have established, because we don't rent it out typically.
So the ABC room?
I defer to Lenore.
Sure, we have different categories, basically from A to E, if you're a nonprofit going up to a profit business. So it can range anywhere for free if it's one time a month. A nonprofit that's in Coconut Creek, that's free. And then it can range anywhere from $50 on up on a 2-hour time block.
2-hour time block, $50 an hour?
Yeah.
Is that what I heard?
$50 for 2 hours.
Okay, so $25 an hour. Okay, so it's really not okay. All right, I'll defer to the rest of the commission just to get some, thank you so much. Oh, what about the Rose Center? That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
what is the Rose Center?
So the Rose Center also has the different categories. So let's just say for right now, a nonprofit that's in Coconut Creek, and I'm saying that because there's a different fee for a nonprofit that's not in Coconut Creek.
Okay.
So if we range from a nonprofit that's in Coconut Creek, it's free with a $100 security deposit that they'll get back.
Okay.
If they want to use the Rose Center an additional day during that same month, there'll be a security deposit, which is $100, and then $75. And then let's go to a resident of Coconut Creek who's doing a party on the weekends.
Right.
Their fee is $100 security deposit, and it's $250 to rent it.
$250.
Okay.
And a non-resident, can they rent it?
For private rentals, we don't have that available to non-residents. Basically every weekend we're packed with residents.
Okay.
We do have an option for profit businesses to rent throughout the week, and that is a different fee. I don't have that with me right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we're talking about Coconut Creek nonprofits, so how many Coconut Creek nonprofits do we have?
Thank you for asking that question. We have 34.
I
we have
love that you
34
have the answer.
nonprofits that are registered with the city that you all are allowed to support.
Yes.
And 21 of those received financial contributions from the city during last budget cycle. 21.
So you said it's a total of 34?
Yes.
And 21, what?
21. So the 34.
So we got, those are the recipients of our grant from the current budget year that we're in.
Yes, they're not necessarily nonprofits within the city. They're
Right.
nonprofits that you as a commission have supported through resolution.
Okay. So if we're only talking, so that is a list that if whatever we establish or a guideline for today could be a number of nonprofits that would be eligible to fall under these guidelines that we're going to establish.
So you could establish that list, or you could establish a more exclusive list where they would have to be located in the city of Coconut Creek.
With an address of Coconut Creek. Okay, I kind of tend to go towards that, and I think it's more around the number of, does anybody have the exact number? I think it's between 10 and 12, something like that. Crickets?
Don't have that number available. Yep.
Okay, well, let's say it is 10 to 12. I'm sorry. We're getting a little punchy up here. So in any given, and you said, Danielle, the common theme tonight was for consistency. I think that's what we're striving for across the board, to provide fairness for whatever we're talking about, whether it's outside fields, indoor space, and I think the same should, to my opinion, should qualify for nonprofits. So I know we've only spoken about the occurrences for 2 particular nonprofits, but if we are to provide a policy in place, it should be open and transparent to all of the nonprofits in Coconut Creek, in my mind, and an agreement with them establishing that, so that we establish the liability that you're talking about. I understand that. And you know, the consistency, so that we're very transparent. I think the 2 times a year for the gym is very liberal, but I'll go along with whatever the consensus of the rest of the commission is. Excuse me. And I noted on here that you were talking about the equivalent of A, B, or C at the community center, but not all 3 of them at the same time. Is that what I heard you say?
That's correct.
And the ROAS Center was not included in here?
No.
Okay. So that's where I'm going with that. I think we just, whatever we establish tonight, that it is communicated to all of the nonprofits in Coconut Creek, so that everyone has a fair opportunity to utilization of whatever we describe for 1 meeting a month, and the gem use to be determined.
Thank you.
Quick.
Yeah.
I'll be quick, I promise.
Okay, go ahead, John. Commissioner Brody.
I'll be really quick, Commissioner Riddell. I promise. I actually agree with what Commissioner Welsh was saying, that the qualifier here needs to be that they are in Coconut Creek. And everything else, I totally agree with what you're saying. But I think that should be one of the qualifiers, that if we're talking about nonprofits, even if we give money to them, they have to have their home base out of Coconut Creek, and I agree with that.
Great. That's good. Okay. I just wanted to ask one question, Josh, if you don't mind, about, in here, we're recommending non-members' attendance. How would we enforce that?
I guess, huh?
Probably be the honor system.
Yeah, we go by the honor system, but if there's someone within the organization that
Let me know how that works for
we'll
you.
ask for ID or and see where we go from there. But yeah, we try to work with everybody.
Because we don't want to put something in the policy that we can't control.
Right. And it also comes down to availability as well, because currently we've only had these two come forward to ask for the gymnasium in which they use, but if more come forward, it's going to be based on what's available for them to use, because
Right.
we don't move our programs around for them. They come far enough in advance to us where we can schedule it
And whatever's
plan
available.
for it. So that's kind of like what we're
And we'd
looking
have
at
to
now.
note that in here, that we
Yeah.
can't specify, it's not one room here, one room there, it would be within the city, right?
Yes,
Within our
one of our
city
facilities.
complexes. Great.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Rydell.
Just some more deeper clarity, and Mayor, to your point, for example, if the multicultural circle published a meeting that said, we invite all multicultural circles in Broward County to come with us, that would then trigger, hey, you're having people that aren't at your meeting, right?
Yeah, like nine.
Honor system. You're publicizing an event, not to your membership.
Correct.
That's my
Our
point. So I
intention
think
with this
you could
was,
probably see it in the advertising, I would think, to answer that. I didn't even think about that. But you're right about the honor system. A couple of qualifiers. Who right now is renting our gym? Last calendar year. Who's done events in our gym nonprofit-wise?
Multicultural club and women's club.
How many events for each?
The women's club does 5 events. They
In
have
the gym?
4 in the gym. They have 4 in the gym, with the one being outside at Sable Pines Park.
Okay. And when we're talking about HOAs, homeowners associations are all nonprofit. Are you lumping them in this? Because technically, a homeowners association, by definition, falls under like a 501c, I think, D. So I just need somebody to speak to that, because
I can answer
Yeah.
that.
yeah, please.
So when HOA or any group submits their information for a room rental, we verify their information on SunBiz. We use that as a qualifier to say the name, if it's a nonprofit, and their principal address. If their principal address is in Coconut Creek, then we associate as a nonprofit fee. That's a Coconut Creek nonprofit.
So they're meeting there for free.
Not, some of them are. If they're a nonprofit that's in Coconut Creek, what that SunBiz shows, then yes. If it does not show the principal address, then they'll be charged.
Okay, so let me, well, we're going to get there because I have an issue with that. So an association, for example, I have a property management company. My property management company, I believe he's principal, even though he's a Coconut Creek resident, he's property managed in Pompano Beach. So granted, I live in a very small neighborhood and I host meetings at my house for my association, but hypothetically, if I was to come to the rec center, it's a true story. Jamie loves it. If we were to go to the rec center based on that address, I'd hit pay.
Correct.
We got to adjust
Correct.
that.
Pay.
That has to be adjusted. If there's an association in the city of Coconut Creek and they're only sunbizzing an address for the purpose most likely of service of process to like Becker and Polikoff in Fort Lauderdale as a law firm, we got to adjust that. If you're a association in the city, you should be able to meet in your facilities for free. Can we correct our policy for that? Everybody?
Say that again.
Couldn't they?
Right now, if Coquina,
No, the principal address has to be in Coconut.
if Coquina has, I don't know who your lawyer is, but if you use your lawyer's address that's not in the city, you can't meet in a facility for free.
They
Bec-
pay. I
They
think
pay. They do, probably because where it's zoned,
pays.
when they shouldn't pay. So we're doing it by an address, and I'm getting to my point because I had a complaint from a northern community about that, of saying, why are we paying to use our facilities? And he's right in that argument. So I'm asking for consensus to shift the policy, not on Sunbiz. We all know the associations in Coconut Creek. If you're an association in Coconut Creek, you can meet for free. That's,
We have to think about that, I think, because a lot of these associations have clubhouses and have their own facilities. And even though they're nonprofit, they wouldn't allow us to come in there and meet in their room. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense, but it would be crazy to me to not allow an association vested in
I
Coconut
know.
Creek to use facility space, regardless of their access to a clubhouse, regardless of the size of it. For example, Winston Park has clubhouses in certain areas, and they have access. They have a monster association. I don't even think we could house that. But I have a problem with us charging people based on a Sunbiz address. That's all.
It's totally practical what you're saying, because the organization is in Coconut Creek. It's an HOA. It's a no-brainer. It's not even, it shouldn't even be up for debate. Just because an address on the Sunbiz for the HOA property manager is different than the HOA address, no. So I agree wholeheartedly.
Either of you want to chime in on that before I go to my next point?
Yeah, I just think that if we're going to do that, then the letter needs to be drafted from the president saying they're the president of the HOA to give to the city so you guys know who you're dealing with. So that needs to be drafted from each HOA to be able to get that room, right? That would make sense, right?
Verification.
Okay.
Consistent.
And now I just want to go back. How many, aside from the two you highlighted, the Women's Club and the Multicultural Circle, are any other entities using our space routinely?
No.
Okay. I got nothing else. Yeah, right. I got nothing else. The one thing I wanted to address was the homeowners association issue, which I addressed.
Okay. Next. Go ahead.
You know, Commissioner Rydell mentioned something earlier about the budget, right? And he said, you know, first, I mean, I'm sorry to bring it up again, right? But he's like, first thing to go, lowest hanging fruit, Parks and Rec, right? But that, there's a lot going on with our revenue stream, right? And the uncertainty of it. And we're coming into such an uncertain time that, to me, this has been a great service we have done, right? We've been doing it, you know, but there needs to be a moment of like reflection to say, hey, if these comments are being made potentially about Parks and Rec and levels of service, and we're giving things for free, I comfortably can't move forward with the uncertainty going on and giving away things for free. I can't. And I don't know if there's a pulse for it up here, but that to me is, it's been a great service, but now we're talking about, like, I mean, that was scary what he said. And it's like people's lives, people, you know, it's a whole thing. So to give away things for free when people potentially could lose jobs due to property taxes and budget, I'm not okay with that. So I would like to see, I see here at the bottom, the cost for the monthly room may be no charge, at a discounted rate, at a full rate. I think anybody using our facilities should be paying something. And it's been great for years. That's just where I'm at right now, because the uncertainty and that I don't know if there's a pulse for it. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in that, you know, but to me, there has to be some sort of financial connection, especially with what's going on. So I'll defer to the dais if there's any you want to talk about, or just move on.
I'd just like to make a comment, though. Regardless of how we go, it needs to be consistent. So if we're inclusive of the HOAs being exempt from cost of rental of rooms, regardless of frequency, it should be a tie-in for the bulk of the nonprofits or HOAs, one way or the other, either discounted, no charge, or full.
And I agree that the HOAs should, I mean, I think they should have to pay something. Yeah, I mean, you're using services, you're using electricity, you're using staff. I mean, that's why I asked the question earlier, because I really needed to, like, understand, you know, we're using our capital for free for these organizations. These organizations do good things, and they represent residents and neighborhoods and whatever they do, but there has to be, I don't know. But I would say the HOA should pay too, 100%.
Go ahead, Josh. Go, Commissioner.
I mean, the buzzers aren't working. I'm going to raise my hand.
Go ahead.
I absolutely. Well, I'm going to split you. I'm going to split the baby for you, Vice Mayor.
No.
And I diametrically disagree on nonprofits and associations paying to use a room in facilities that were built on taxpayer dollars. Diametrically disagree. Now, you want to have that conversation about special events that people. I mean, listen. Arts Fest, people are coming. If someone's buying a slot, I actually agree with you. So if there's an event and people are paying to get a table, or an artist is paying a couple $100 to show their art, I don't know how that works. But if someone's charging, I mean, come on, yes, you should be paying. Are you running a fundraiser or something? Yes, there should be. I agree with you on that. So don't agree with you maybe on a monthly. Can't agree with that. The associations, you will have a backlash of anybody that's involved in any sort of organized association or organized. It's just, I can't do that. But if you want to have a conversation about special events, I'm reflecting on it now that if something is being charged to somebody else to use it and they're charging and making money, yes, there should be a fee associated with it.
I understand about taxpayer money built these facilities. But we're also cleaning, setting up, electric, water. There's a lot involved to maintain these buildings and to sustain these meetings. And I think if someone had an option of doing it here where it would cost them or doing it here where it wouldn't cost them, I'd take advantage of where there was a non-fee. So we may be inundated with additional meetings and events in these spaces. So we have to be careful about opening it up to everyone for a non-fee.
It's also depreciation.
And there's also depreciation, furniture, the wear and tear. There's a lot involved when you use a facility. And there needs to be some accountability.
So under that same philosophy, should we be charging kids to use playgrounds?
Well, fields is another thing just to throw out there. I know you guys talked earlier.
Philosophically speaking, because
Well,
that's the
again,
conversation.
if
Let's bang
we
them.
want to charge for the fields, we could do
Lines on the
that. If you want to
fields,
attach a
mowing
fee.
What are we doing?
I mean, we're going into a slippery slope now. But, okay, Commissioner Brody.
All right, so I know we're talking about a lot of things here, but when we start talking about the HOAs, and they're already paying for these facilities, and the building is already there. It's already paid for. It's the electric. Everything's already there. All we're doing is turn switches on and off for their meeting. These people have already paid for it. If we charge them, do you think that HOA is paying for that? No, they're giving it right back to the resident who's double dipping now, paying for this room. So no, it doesn't make any sense in that scenario. Yeah, they already paid for it through their taxes. Now you're telling the HOAs they got to pay for it again. The HOA is not paying for that. The resident's paying for that. So it's coming out of their money. So when it comes to that, yeah, I get it. But so let me throw this out here in the dais to see if this sticks. We were talking about these events for these two organizations, and my feeling is this: either that organization needs to take the money, or they need to take the free facility, but they can't have both. So either they're going to take the donation that we give them, and they can use that to rent the facility, or they could take the facility and we don't give them money. And I think that's a better way of looking at this because it's either or.
Like to dovetail into tomorrow's workshop.
Yeah, I can't wait.
There we go. So there we go. I'll kind of open the door. So
You want to do more workshop right now?
So that's something to think about too, is if we're going to say we're going to make them pay for a facility, well then why are we giving them money? Because that money is supposed to be, that money would offset the cost of the place, or the building offsets the money. So either way, we need to make a decision on that to say, these organizations, if you want the facilities, you take the money and you pay it back to rent it so they can be cleaned and serviced, or you take the money or you take the facility. So that's my thought. I don't know. We could talk about it tomorrow night. Same bat channel. But, that's the way it's going. But the HOAs, and yeah, it's a no-brainer. They shouldn't be paying for that because they're already paid for it.
Yeah. Yes, of course. I actually think this is a very fair proposal, what you're recommending. But that's just my opinion right now. But I would like to hear, I know there's some people that have signed up, Mr. Kavanaugh.
And I believe I heard a pretty clear consensus with the exception of non-residents and non-members. Oh.
Okay, I don't think, we didn't have a consensus yet on anything.
Sheila, what meeting are you at?
So
There's a group of cats that you're just attempting to try to herd, and it didn't work out
Do
well.
we have any, does somebody want to make a proposal for consensus?
Sure, and I respect what Commissioner Rydell is saying about, if HOAs, I get it, that's fine. If a nonprofit is using our facilities and they're charging vendors to be a part of their event, they should have to pay a fee to use our space.
You're right, I agree.
And that's where I'll leave it at that.
I agree.
We have 3 agrees.
I like the, okay, yes. And no charge on the HOAs and the nonprofit for the monthly meetings.
She agrees.
I said no charge for HOAs and nonprofit for the monthly meetings and for the special events, yes.
Brody?
So I'm okay with giving a event to a nonprofit a year. I do agree if they're going to have vendors in there paying some money, then yeah, that's a different category altogether.
That's why I think you sum it up.
Yeah, and if they're doing, like say, I'll use for an example, they're doing the, what was the Santa Claus thing the Women's Club did. There's no vendors there, so that's different.
But they're charging.
They charge
But that money's
people to
going right
come.
back to the kids, they don't keep that money.
Well, I don't know what they do or what the organization does, but if you're charging anything for anybody to be part of your event, that money there needs to be a fee to the city, vendor or not.
How do they pay for the food? How do they pay for the tables? How do they pay for the decorations? A lot of money. You're not talking like they're getting $100 a kid. It's $25, and in that $25, you get food and a present.
I understand, and I
Okay,
respect.
And you got to still deal with this. So that's not the same category as if you're saying fall harvest where they're having 67 vendors out there. That's different.
I agree.
May I?
Yes.
The way this is worded. The way the recommendation is worded, and let them decide which 2 events they want to utilize, a maximum of 1 room per month, either at community or rec. I guess we're going to have to add the Row Center to that as well, or no?
That has a
Is
higher.
that separate? Do
We
you
were trying to
utilize
keep it
the
at the
Row
base-
if these rooms are filled and they need a room a month? Would you do that?
Well, we were only keeping the Rose Center outside of it because with the private rentals, it's at a higher fee to rent that facility, and we
So,
wanted to keep it.
in other words, if, say, okay, I am a nonprofit, okay, and I want to rent a room, I can utilize 1 room a month. Now, I want a second event, I want to go to the Row Center.
You would pay
They
for
pay.
that.
So then we'd have to pay for it, no matter, even though it's a not-for-profit.
Correct.
Okay. So it's only 1. So you're including the Row Center in this once-a-month meeting. You have to,
We tried to use the base room
you are.
because it's supposed to be for an organizational meeting, which most organizations don't have more than 40 people as members. So it's for them to get together and discuss their monthly
Okay,
agendas.
so what I'm going to try to be clear. Here it says a maximum of 1 room per month at either community center, rec center. For organizational meetings, the designated room would have a maximum of 40. Okay, so now I take a room at the community center. Now I want to have a second room. In our Row Center policy, it's stating nonprofits in Coconut Creek are free. Okay? So then, technically, if it's not included in this policy, I could get 2 rooms a month without, because you can't, you know what I'm saying?
I do
Are
understand.
you guys following me as well?
Well, where is that written?
Where's the second room?
Where is the Rose Center? I didn't understand that.
The recommended policy we're looking at for nonprofits seeking indoor space. It specifically says community center or rec center. So nowhere does it address the Row Center. But the Row Center's separate policy says for a nonprofit in Coconut Creek, it's free. Does anybody, am I the one that's,
Jackie's actually completely correct, because she's saying that she's right. So if you have a nonprofit, could you use a room at the community center every month, and could you use the Row Center every month? Is the policy conflicting or is it inconsistent?
Can I just say something? So that is the existing. So moving forward, that would be removed from the Row Center
Got it.
policy.
So they're closing the loophole, Jackie.
okay, thank you. That was my question. Thank you, thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, okay.
Is there,
Okay.
Mayor?
Wait,
I'm sorry.
okay, go ahead. I just lost it. Go ahead. Yeah. After we get a consensus.
Yeah, so is there a consensus for if a nonprofit is collecting any sort of fees for their event, there is a fee they need to pay for the city? We already covered that?
Yes.
Correct, okay, thank you.
So now we're looking for a consensus for the maximum of 1 room per month for a meeting.
I'm good with this proposal but for, pay for play. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good with these recommendations as well.
You need to talk about the special meeting frequency, special event frequency.
Well, it says for 2 special events per year, whatever that nonprofit decides what that event is up
Is it 2
to
or
them.
1? Because they were talking about 1.
1? Well, that's
Commissioner Brody said 1.
all right. Well, that's up for discussion.
I'm okay with
I don't care.
So just to understand, each nonprofit may host a maximum of 2 special events per year. But let's say, but that's based on. So that's for free?
Currently, that's what it is.
But we just had a consensus that they have to pay if they are charging any sort of
We're
any
open.
fees. Okay, so that's built in. Okay, but they could do 20 events a year if they wanted to, as long as they paid. Right. Okay.
Based on availability.
So there's going to be no free events unless they are not charging any sort of income to their organization or bringing in any sort of income.
Then we want to
Vendors. Well, no, the consensus was already any money coming in, any money they're collecting.
Any money they're collecting? Let me get this straight, because I don't remember that conversation. Maybe I'm over here in my own little world. But I thought when I was talking, we talked about if they're doing it for vendors versus they're doing it for the kids. I don't.
any sort of money collection.
That's ridiculous.
Okay. All right.
And
So
if we're
we
doing
have
this for
3.
vendors, and they're bringing people in to go make money, and that's what Commissioner Rydell brought up, was if they're bringing vendors in and they're making money off of it that way. Not like what they did for the Santa Claus thing, where they said, well, the money coming in goes right back to the kids and the setup. That's different. That's a whole different thing. They're not doing that to make money. They're doing that to bring something to the community for the kids.
It's
so I
not
don't
a
understand how
fundraiser.
we're just saying, if I have a meeting and somebody gives me $1, now I got to pay for a room? That's
Well, and I respect what you're saying, but we don't know what is a fundraiser, right? So that could legitimately be a fundraiser. Well, I don't know, and I don't think you know either. Okay, I don't want to speak for you because you don't. Okay, but I don't know if that you're saying every dollar for that event that you're talking. Hold on, I'm speaking.
You're asking a question. Now let me answer.
All right.
I didn't finish the
Let's
question.
keep this respectful.
The Santa Claus event, every dollar that's coming into that event is going towards the food and the toys. There's no leftover money that goes back into the account. I just need that clarity.
Okay, so and I know you haven't ran an event to understand what it takes to put an event like that together.
I don't know what I've done.
You haven't done it, because obviously if you did, you would have
All
told
right,
us, right?
all right.
So there we go.
All right.
When you run an event, you have to pay for food, which they did Roadhouse. Okay, they did all the decorations. They did all the toys for the kids.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that money went right back into the thing. And to say, if you're talking vendors, I get it. I totally understand. If we're talking about bringing vendors in, you're making money off those vendors for whatever reason at that point, because vendors are vendors. But they didn't have vendors.
Okay, so
how
my
are we
point-
how are we splitting this? You're just
Okay.
saying everybody that rents that room, a nonprofit, and they take a single dollar, we're going to charge them for that room. It's ridiculous to say that. I understand what the original thing that Mr. Rydell said over here that said if they're having vendors. I agreed with that. I don't know how it morphed into this other thing. I'm going to the bathroom kind of screwed me, I guess.
Well, we had a consensus, so let me ask this. If we're talking about, specifically, we are talking about Breakfast with Santa, right? What if that organization used that as one of their special events of the year?
That would be their one.
That would be their one. And they wouldn't have to pay for that one.
Correct.
Okay.
But that was not the consensus.
But that wasn't the consensus yet for one. I know the consensus was.
The consensus was if there was a fee charged for the event, they would have to pay for the facility rental.
And we
So
don't know
that's
what
where
that
we're gonna have to
facility
clear-
rental is.
There's
at
just a
this
lot of
point.
emotion around this because there are members of that group on this dais. So I do find it to be a little bit of a conflict of interest to think that somebody would be up here and support what I'm saying because I'm not a member of this organization. So I do feel that there is a conflict talking about this specific item because there are people who are actively involved in it. That's just my opinion.
Okay.
So I'm supposed to quit? Or they're supposed to quit? Or anybody's supposed to quit? There's no rule on that, man.
Okay.
Okay, so if I
Excuse
have
me.
an opinion,
All right.
it's not going to be disregarded
All right,
because
excuse me, can
I'm
we do
involved
this?
with a nonprofit
Excuse
in
me.
the city. It's ridiculous.
Excuse me.
It's not a...
Excuse me, commissioners. Can we, Madam Attorney, can we, since Commissioner Brody was absent for the consensus, can we take a new consensus?
Yes, you can. I mean, this isn't a formal vote, so you can continue discussing it if you think that there's the possibility
I
to
think we've
achieve a different
discussed it.
consensus.
I think we've discussed it enough. I think I'm just going to ask for another consensus.
Can you
I think that we need to actually see a formalized policy. I think there's too much nuance on this issue right now.
Okay.
In terms of language, and I think consensus right now would be flawed in any capacity because I think there's nuanced issues in terms of how some of these events are done. For example, Arts Fest.
Yeah.
Right? Arts Fest, while it doesn't charge anybody, they're renting vendor space. There's hybrid, big word of the day, events on both sides of the coin here. So I think the general principle is that if someone's charging an individual for a space or rent qualifies, I think this is a nuanced issue, and we need some deeper clarification before formal consensus is given, Madam Mayor.
would we get that from the city attorney?
That's something that the city manager's office, together with Parks and Recreation, would draft and bring to you as part of the
Great.
policy.
Terrific. And I would also like to see a schedule of the rental fees.
Current or proposed?
Proposed. And current, please, so we can compare.
And rate sheets. Well, I know we have the old rate sheets. I'd like to see a new rate sheet. And I also question the ability of gymnasium rentals when I say this, and this is like a legal issue. Right now, we allow nonprofits to use our gym spaces, but I couldn't, as a private resident, use our gym space. There's a little consistency issue there, so we may want to get that in line.
She said you could.
I could rent the gym right now? I can't rent the gym right now.
We don't have a rental fee for the
Yeah.
gym.
No.
There is
No gym.
nothing
No
established.
gym for you.
No, no. And I think
Oh,
we
yes.
See what I- see what I did there?
have to take into consideration the liabilities here. So,
Public that have been here
yes,
forever.
thank
That's
you.
just me.
I'm going to open this up for public comment. Mr. Kavanaugh, please.
Yes, we have 3 members of the public that signed up to speak this evening. The first individual that signed up is Michael Guardino.
Hello. I'm going to
Good evening.
try to be as quick as possible. I thank you all for being here this late and doing this, and how there hasn't been more bickering and fighting. I'm so impressed. Our mayor must be an excellent mama that she can control this situation. Thank you, guys. Also, I'd like to thank the police officer in the back of the room. This poor guy probably could care less about all of this and is stuck here for 2 hours. The few points that I wanted to make, I didn't necessarily agree with the 98% satisfaction rating. I feel like if that was a true figure, maybe we wouldn't be here right now. So I don't know if that is an overlap in other statistics that go into the report, but it did strike me as maybe not the most accurate number. Also, I didn't agree with the concept of rec soccer in terms of a timeline not overlapping with competitive soccer. I think that if you want to create a competitive program that most benefits the kids in this community, and that's the most important statement, nothing we should be discussing should be outside of the realm of what is most beneficial to the kids in this community. Not the people who own the clubs, not the coaches who get paid to coach, but the experience that the kids are going to have when they participate. If you want a competitive program, it can't be limited to a few months out of the year. It has to run more or less year-round. Most soccer clubs shut down for the summer, but to limit it to 4, even 8 months, you're not going to produce a product that's going to be the best for the kids. I think it's important to be aware of that. Also, I think that there's a good benefit of a competitive program being able to work hand in hand with a recreational program. I can tell you that I know of competitive programs and competitive coaches in our program who want to be involved with coaching in the rec program. And I think that that is beneficial to the rec players, but they really can't because there seems to be this opinion that there has to be a separation of state. I don't agree with it, and I think that maybe you should consider that concept. Also, I don't necessarily agree with the city determining that kids should be playing multiple sports. I, on a personal level, think it is an excellent thing for kids, say 10 or younger, maybe 11 or 12 or younger, but once a kid is approaching high school and these older ages, they want to specialize. They want to be great at something. They want to make the varsity team, be the captain, have an experience that they can think back upon and enjoy. So I think that you should consider that. Also, I'm so sorry, my phone went to the dead screen. I just also want to point out that when you have your rec program, I went to the rec games 2 weeks ago. There was a 13-year-old girl who scored 7 goals against an 8-year-old girl. I know my time is up. I'll cut it. I apologize. Thank you for allowing me to speak, and I thank you for doing this. This is a long night for you guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next individual that's on to speak this evening is Claudina Kaido. If I mispronounce your name, I apologize.
Hello, Claudina Caiado. No problem, because my English is not that good, then you can. I am world champ, Jiu-Jitsu, world champ, last year in Vegas, the tournament, the championship. And my husband is an MMA fighter in American Top Team here in Coconut Creek. And as we didn't see in the website, and we asked about, and people say you don't have martial arts. And then me and my husband, we are interested in having a program for kids, and we also do have our kids that we would like to teach them. And if we take time to teach them, why not to teach other kids? And it's good for the community. And martial arts, as Jiu-Jitsu, they are especially good for kids because all sports are wonderful. I always practice a lot of sports, and I love sports. But martial arts have the ability to build like more, how can I say, self-esteem and self-confidence in those kids, and also all the other things that are very good for health benefits, to be in shape, to be not in the laptops and the screens and all this stuff that we all know about it. And, well, I have 1 minute. I didn't expect. It's too much. If it was in Portuguese, it would be easier, but we are especially interested in doing this program and teaching kids, and also it's a sport that you can start very early. Of course, when you start with 3, 4 years old, you will not teach the techniques advanced or like when they get 5 years old, but you can start for having the balance of the body, the strength, and and other stuff. Then I think it doesn't need too much, a room and a mat.
May I ask, Claudina, are you looking to volunteer instructions?
Sorry?
Are you looking to volunteer your time and expertise?
Yes.
Wonderful. All right, thank you. That's
Yes.
commendable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Me
Thank
and
you.
my
That's
husband,
wonderful.
I also have a daughter. She's 17. She can help, and we know a lot of people that can. Not a lot, but people who have interest, and they also have kids, and I think it would be very good.
That's great. And it also, there's one thing that you did leave out. It also teaches our children control. Control of their emotions, control of their,
Yes, exactly. Yes. Very,
Yeah.
very, yeah, it happens, yeah.
It's great. Thank you. I appreciate it, Cliffy.
Thank you very much. Sorry?
I said, sign me up.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
And the next speaker is Brian Cooper.
Before our next speaker, Mayor, I just want to let you know Commissioner Welsh believes the next time we do team building, it should be in a martial arts setting. I suggested to her that may not be the best idea tonight,
Well,
but maybe in the future.
you've already seen my skills at One Ribbon
For
Cutting.
future.
It's very good for adults and all ages, especially jiu-jitsu, because judo is more aggressive, like you hurt more. But jiu-jitsu is for all ages, I guarantee.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, Brian. I'm sorry.
Good evening.
Thank you for your
And
patience.
again, thank you for being here. And I did train at American Top Team. It is amazing. I have a few concerns. When we talk about moving to the next step and going to something like a parent-run organization, I get a lot of concerns. My kids were in soccer in the rec league from the age of 3 till middle school. I had to take them out because there was no coaches. Nobody showed up. I ended up coaching for 2.5 years. I had no idea what I was doing. I had to go on YouTube and watch videos to try to figure out how to train these kids. So when you talk about a parent-led organization and a board, I don't know where it's coming from. We couldn't even get coaches. The other thing is the quality. If we go with something like Mike's organization or any other organization, they are already trained. There was one more point I was going to say. I think it was covered. All right, thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else, Mr. Kavanaugh?
Not at this time, Mayor.
Is there anyone else that's present that would like to? Yes, come on up, please. I guess very soon we'll have another Creek resident.
Baseball player. Hi. Brittany Rodriguez. I actually run the Girls Coconut Creek Softball League. I'm the president. So hello. I'd like to speak to some of the questions that were asked by you guys during
Sure.
the
Would you
discussions
mind
about
stating your
fields.
name for us, please?
Brittany Rodriguez, Brittny. Rodriguez is Rodriguez. I'm from the San Melina neighborhood over by the equestrian areas. First off, Parks and Recs, they're pretty amazing. They do a lot. They try and partner with us on a variety of different things. And during the discussions, I think I heard, Vice Mayor, I heard you ask, are we talking to kind of like the other areas, Coral Springs, the surrounding cities to see what they're doing? I can tell you that that was something I proposed in the last conversation that we had with this, where we had the consultancy agency that was putting all of this information together, and the answer was no. You want to know who is? Me. I know exactly who's getting charged. I know who's not getting charged. I meet pretty frequently to build not just a relationship, but to coordinate for games, code of conduct, policies, what we're going to charge, identifying if we don't have enough enrollment to support the kids that are in our program in specific divisions and transitioning them over to the other cities so that they can participate. I meet with Coral Springs, I meet with Margate, I meet with West Boca, I meet with Parkland. And what I can tell you is, outside of Margate, because Margate is currently the only one in our organization that is ran by the city, and they are the smallest, the most disorganized, and the most restricted, just an FYI. Not that that would be the case for us, they're the only ones that go through the restrictions that the rest of us don't go through. Parkland, Coral Springs, and West Boca, they are allotted unrestricted access to fields for their seasons. I don't mind working with Enrique, Andrew, all of his team members. They're great. They do their best to accommodate, but that is not the case in the surrounding cities. They are allotted a specific set amount of fields for a few months. That's theirs. Monday through Sunday, you do whatever you need to do. You don't have to coordinate when you're going to have practices, when you need permits, none of that. It is yours. You deal with it. Now, if you need something outside of the restricted fields, then you need to come back to the city and say, hey, can I also take this specific field? Can I get a permit allotted? They are not charged for those fields. And if we're talking about receiving fees, I want you to understand the vast spectrum of what comes along with that. When we say nonprofit, everybody thinks that it's just nonprofit. There are nonprofits that have paid employees, and they're allowed to do that as a part of, their organization. We are 100% unpaid. I had to take our registration fees from being at $100 up to $200, not including the $50 for non-residents that I have to pass along to the city. That covers socks, belts, pants, shirts, paying all of the umpires that we need, which, let me mind you, in certain age divisions, you have to double up on umpires just to make sure that it's a fair game. That also covers anything that we have to do with bringing in clinics. I was fortunate enough to be able to do the research. Oh, I apologize. Do you guys want me to finish the thought? Yes. I was fortunate enough to do some fundraisers and to bring in a knowledge base because I work in a corporate environment, but to some of their points, there are some parent-run organizations that just don't have the knowledge base. Baseball has Little League. They are a part of the Little League organization. I come from a corporate environment. I can create and build fundraisers. I come from a legal background. It's a little bit different. So if we're going to move forward with parent-run organizations, I think the biggest issue that I'm hearing across everyone is there needs to be standards, communication, and policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brittany, and good luck. God bless. Okay. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, all. Well, thank you, Gwen, for sending me the invitation. My name is Wobens. I play soccer my whole life. Soccer is the reason why I'm here. I went to school, I went to Coaglade, played college soccer in Chicago, and after college soccer, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I have a bachelor degree in sport management, and my older brother is the director in Parkland. He was coaching there. And he asked me to come out, and I came out, I started helping him out, and then next thing I know, I said to myself, well, maybe I can do this. I'm good at this. So I've been doing this since 2014. I've coached in Boca, I've coached in Western, Davie, Coral Springs, and I moved to the city here when I got married. I have a daughter who just turned 9 years old. She wanted to play rec soccer. And I signed her up to play rec soccer in the city. And as I'm going around, I see how the parents were acting, were behaving. But I've been the guy on the side. I've been the guy who's coaching. Now I'm the guy on the sideline. And I remember a few times I went to a few of the parents, and I told them, "You guys can't behave like this. Do certain things." And some of them didn't like that. And then I went to Dan. I told Dan, "Is there a way that I can help you guys?" Help. Is there any way I can help the rec soccer here? And then told me that I can help with coaching and volunteer. And I told them, well, I can do a free clinic for the kids. The first year and the second year, I told them that I can do a coaching clinic as well to help the coaches. And I remember, I think we have like maybe 2 or 3 coaches who came out, but I was able to help these coaches out. And then the following year, I did it again. This year, me and Dan, we spoke about it, and it was okay with him. And a few weeks later, I got an email from him that he said I was not able to do it this year. But I do have an organization in the city as well. But I'm willing to help with the city, whatever they want. I don't if it's a city club or any organization, that whatever you guys want, I'm here to help. And also thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hello. I just wanted to touch on one thing we discussed about field rentals.
Yes, your name, please.
Tina Nizzi, 3956 Northwest 56th Street, Coconut Creek 33073. When we discuss maintaining fields and overusing fields and field rentals to outside people, what is done when I rent a field? I go through the system, I pay. I have to provide a certificate of insurance. So when we say that a city resident is renting the field, how are we ensuring that's not an organization from a different city with one person who lives here renting a field? And now we go out there and there's just a club or, from not just soccer, other sports playing on the field at our city's rates, at our resident rate. So that was just kind of like a concern of mine that I've seen in the past, because there's adult leagues out there, there's rugby teams and football teams and all these people out there. Are they following the same protocol as the clubs that are in the city are required to do?
Currently, we require the person who is permitting to show residency. And similar to a pavilion, they can come in and rent a pavilion at a lower rate than a non-resident, and we don't ask for everyone at the pavilion at the party the residency. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the field.
But how are we ensuring that that's not just a team from Parkland? They don't have space, their fields are closed, so there's one person on that team that brings their whole team to practice on our fields, destroying the field. And now when our fields are shut down, the residents and the clubs in Coconut Creek are the ones that are punished for it, and those teams go back to their cities.
Based on the information that Jack collected, we don't have any organizations renting our fields that are 100% residency. There are non-residents in all organizations.
I wouldn't even go on that response because she's totally right, and it's a total loophole. So you guys got to figure out how to close that. Just saying.
Yeah,
she's right. I know for a fact that she's correct. For a fact. So,
like
loophole.
Everything else, it's enforcement, and how do we do that? We'd have to ask for ID, and the majority, that's the ranger. They would have to ask for ID, go to the field, and the majority of players must be Creek residents.
They'd be youth.
Otherwise, otherwise you'd have to charge a non-resident fee.
Right. It used to be, Wayne, remember, you guys, if you had more than 6 people on a field, you guys would go out and question the 6 people to make sure they weren't an organized team. I don't know if that's happening anymore or not happening, but that was actually a policy.
That's for open play. Yes, that's still in place.
They still go out there to do that.
Let's face it, nothing is 100%, but we're going to have to set policy. That's the bottom line. Thank you, Tina. Okay, anyone else before we wrap up? Any questions from commission? Comments?
Just one briefly. Tomorrow our workshop is time certain, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move to adjourn.
Meeting adjourned.